I think if Astralis would have let us 5 without an AWPer finish the year together, and then they could have rebuilt, I think that would have been way more smooth for them in both, like, they didn't have to. I don't know if Lucky was like a long-term signing they made. I wasn't in that process, so I don't know how they viewed that. But now they signed Farley instead. Maybe they could have waited and got Farley instead of Lucky in the first place, so they didn't really get this confusion. I think that would have been the best solution, but I can understand that they wanted to get an AWPer in early so they couldn't like get him into the system.
Yeah, and then put him on the rifles, of course.
And then put him back on the AWP.
Yeah.
And then kick him.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com, the best skin marketplace.
Normal intro.
I'm so sorry.
Fucking debated on the intro, everybody. I'm sorry. I was doing this.
That was
this
super
really
cringe.
cool intro, but we'll try it again. All right. You know, to everybody out there who's down bad or up good, all the Zoomer language out there, you juices watching XQC, welcome. Welcome to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. I don't know what episode we're up to right now. I'm going to go with 10. Is it episode 10 of season 6? I'm not getting any nods.
It says it on the thing, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay, well, it's episode 10 of season 6, and that's why I have Striker and Prof here to correct me. Lucas, why did we have a technical issue when starting the show right now?
Because we were talking lots of good stuff, and I was afraid that we were hot micing.
You
So
didn't
I
hot mic us.
removed
I respect it.
everything. I removed
respect it.
everything that I thought we didn't need, and I clicked the wrong button on the,
That's
the
all right. I
stuff we
respect
needed.
the fuck out of that. You were protecting us.
It's better than doing the other way, where we would get hot mic'd, but then not work at the beginning of the show.
I mean, we saw a bunch of hot mics from ESL this week, or not even hot mics, hot cams, hot people as well. I saw Chad, you were on the stream for a couple of times.
What was I doing?
I don't know, probably looking
being hot.
Good. Yeah, looking
Okay.
hot. I think. Yeah, you're also doing the playing PC casters coming in and
yeah,
out.
you like
thing.
that?
Yeah,
Really,
that was,
really jazzed that up.
Yeah, there was a couple of good moments, a couple of awkward moments, and yeah, that's it.
All right, I want to jazz something up here for a second because we have to thank our sponsors for making this all possible. Bitskins and Xtrfy. That's the sponsors to bring us home this week. Big shout out to them. If you want any peripherals, check them out, Xtrfy. And if you're in the marketplace for any skins, maybe you want a Dragon Law, maybe you want to splash some cash, you want to buy a Howl, I don't know. Check out Bitskins. All right, boys, girls, everybody watching, we have quite the show here. And the only man who hasn't spoken just yet is our guest for tonight, Bubzkji, the pro player turned temporary analyst, or is this a permanent gig now, mate?
That's for the future to see. Right now, I'm just doing what I want, and that's really doing Danish media.
Okay, Danish media. Some of my favorite out there. Called a couple of them tabloid media before, I think. They didn't like that
He's
very
working
much,
for
Bubzkji.
that one.
Oh, he's working for that one.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. Well, maybe it's better that you're there now. Is it all right over there? Do they look after you?
Yeah, I mean they've been treating me great. It's quite a different job, but it's been going steadily fine.
Do they have a picture of me up in the office, like written Australian
no.
or anything?
No, we don't talk about you. You're not allowed to be talked. You're the man who must not be named.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I can go with a bit of the Voldemort situation here. Lucas, let's roll the bumper because I know that you like your little buffers, and let's get into the hot seat with Bubzkji. All right. Well, let's kick off there, I suppose. Now, for those people playing at home, let's give a little bit of an introduction here. This is Bubzkji. He was the most well known, unfortunately, for being the perpetual sixth man of Astralis. But before that, he was an up and coming talent who got to play in Mad Lions and was, touted as being the next big thing. And then he got fucked around. That's probably the best way to look at this. We're going to dive a bit more into that here tonight. And now, finding himself on the other side of the camera, joining us, doing it in English. So this is English media, mate.
Yeah.
You think you're going to smash this one too? Because you Danes, you guys are basically, well, you're fluent, not basically.
I actually told the boys I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't spoken English for like 3 or 4 months before coming here, because obviously I don't play FPL or anything like that. I just do like Danish pucks and so on. So let's see how it goes.
Why aren't you playing FPL or anything? Don't want to get stuck into that stuff?
Oof, it's it's an interesting community.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It is an interesting community. I find I played today and I found that
Are
the
you in FPL?
no, dude,
Okay.
fuck, I know, boomer like me in FPL. Jesus, I'd be bringing the quality of that right down. Just general facer, the regular queue seems to be better quality than the premium queue. When I queue premium, I'm getting some noobs, and if I'm calling them noobs, they can't be very good out there. But let's focus in on what you were talking about earlier about this Danish media doing this, that, and the other. Now you're obviously
Yep.
over there. Are you doing analyst gig or are you doing casting? Are you doing a bit of both?
Well, in Denmark, we probably don't have the biggest budget as ESL, right? So we kind of get to be a combination of both. Obviously, my main gig is obviously towards the analytic part of the game, but the audience that we are talking to is on a way lower level than you guys. So it's a very, very different job. But I'm basically doing your job, but in Danish and
Okay.
worse.
How are you enjoying it? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's fun, but it's kind of. Do you ever cast 3 BO3s in a row?
Not these days, mate.
Yeah,
The quality got a bit better for us.
Okay, sorry, we're not there yet. Sometimes we do that, and I can really feel like it was rough playing 1 BO3, but casting 3 BO3s. Damn, man, I wouldn't watch that last game if it was with me.
How does it feel doing like a outsiders game versus Sprout? I'm sure that you're like really fired up to do outsiders taking on Sprout, and the game goes for about 7 hours.
Yeah, I got home at 3 in the night at that point, so I'm
Oof.
starting to learn how you guys got treated throughout the years, but it's not like it's bad, and it's fun. Of course, it's just a little hard in the start.
As someone said in chat, now you actually get to work the time that people like pay you for. So that's kind of it's a different,
Hey.
very different situation going on.
Oh dear. Okay, boys, do we have any questions for Bubzkji about this talent lifestyle that he's living? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim.
Okay.
Hit
I
him.
wanted to ask about, because a lot of players, are going to be kind of like, oh, how can these experts, quote unquote experts, talk about us? They've never played, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're now kind of like transitioning from being that player, maybe not that player. I'm not saying that you said anything like this, but do you find yourself kind of like having to change a mindset in terms of like how you criticize people for, what they do in game or whatever like that?
Yeah, obviously you put on a filter when you go on TV, and especially on national TV in Denmark. We can't really say fuck or stuff like that. So we really have to be nice in the way of describing mistakes, and we're not really that rough on people. I think Twitter is for where you go if you want to still be criticizing people heavily.
Okay. You don't have
It's
a problem
hard.
with that.
No, I could be very toxic. I feel like if I put myself out there, but I'm holding a little bit back in the start.
There's certain blunders you see there, mate, that you have to call out, right? Like if someone
Yeah.
misses a sitter or some shit.
Yeah, it's different when you've been a pro before. Also, Pimp in Denmark does it as well with me a little bit. You can feel that. You can just realize how bad what he just did was. So you kind of get almost like sick in your stomach.
All right. I'm trying to think because who are you doing a lot of the casts with? I don't know the
Okay,
bloke's name.
Okay, I have a guy called Torben. Do you know this guy? I played with
Yeah,
him.
you
Yeah,
used to play
Torben.
with him in
Yeah,
Fragsters.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we're doing a lot of banter on television, talking about old stories and so on. And then there's some no-namers you don't probably know,
Okay.
called Jan Skaft and Mess. You
Okay.
probably don't know those, but yeah, Torben is my former teammate that I'm doing with, and then sometimes Pimp as well, right?
Okay. So a crew that the people at home should be knowing. How's that go? You're getting recognized a bit more because you're on Danish TV?
I think it's the opposite. People don't know I'm doing it. People only know me from my
Ah.
Astralis, but it's more like, yeah, it's when you go out in the city at late at night, people know you, but in the daytime, people don't know you. It's kind of weird. So it's because probably the alcohol that makes people change their way of approaching you.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's jump into a bit of the history stuff here, mate, because I alluded to it before. Now, obviously, we just mentioned Fragsters. I remember watching you guys many years ago. And then the Mad Lion stuff was where it really started to pop off, right? You guys came together, obviously, a Peacemaker in the mix there. And this is when like A-Core was still hitting shots and things were looking good, right? And then, well, this whole Astralis situation happened. So, do you want to paint a bit of a history for everybody here so that they can kind of grasp all this transition? You can give us as much detail as you'd like.
Yeah, like we got signed to Tricked way back. We did some results that we probably didn't expect to go so fast, so the organization couldn't keep up with us. Flashpoint was starting up. It was kind of starting some rumors that there was going to be this new league in NA. There was like multiple teams that actually wanted to buy us, but we were so bad at negotiations that we just signed with the first, and we stuck on some pretty low salary as well. But yeah, we got to Mad Lions and things got crazy fast because I don't think people realized where we came from. So people wanted results very fast, and that created a lot of tension in the team. And I think Huntem was also dealing with a lot of personal issues at that point. I think he had some real life stuff going on. So we had to remove him. And then we had Euro practice day, went to Flashpoint 1, got home back. Same thing happened. We expected results too fast. And then I kind of got notifications through people that some teams were interested in me, specifically North and Astralis and some international teams. So I kind of wanted to pursue something else since I had played with those guys for like 1.5 years, I think, and I wanted to try something new. I don't think that was very well received by the organization. So the team dynamic got very bad, and then in the end they had to cut me anyway because like I wanted to play somewhere else and they could feel it, and yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And then Astralis was there in the summer break to pick me up. North was there. Also some international teams. I'm not gonna bring them up because they are obviously still active in the scene. But yeah, North is dead, so I can say that.
Okay. So you joined Astralis in like it's like July 2020, right? So
Exactly.
that's where it all went from probably a dream to a bit of a nightmare, right? Like how did that? Because everybody we've had Esatag before in interviews, like saying, you know, like it's one thing to be in a heroic, right? But I
Yeah.
think the thing was, you know, his mum would tell her friends, you know, what he does. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a professional Counter-Strike player. Oh, he's in Astralis. No, he's in heroic, right? So obviously Astralis was the one that all the Danes know and love. You got to join Astralis. Did it start all right, or was it immediately like, oh, this is fucked?
I think it started very well when Glaive and Sipix was out and me as they just played because we couldn't really feel that we were stand-ins or six-month rosters. After that, when Glaive returned, we had the first issues, right, where we would fight for playtime, me and Esatag, where it wasn't really optimal that we would hinder our ability to develop since we both wanted to play, but only one could play, and that was Esatag. After that, what even happened there? Esatag got sold, right, and then Sipix returned, and then I was kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. I was unsure if Sipix was ever gonna return. I think he had a real bad time at some point, which was really rough for him, but I'm glad that he made it back because he's such a nice guy, and like he's probably one of the favorites I had from that team. He was like very likable and had a great humor, even though you maybe don't expect that from him. So yeah, I was stranded in a little bit of a battle between these players and the organization. I think the organization maybe had a wish for me to play because I was maybe seen as maybe the future. I was the youngest, right? And the team wanted to give the old five still a go because they had won so much, and I fully respected that. So I didn't want to push either sides. I didn't want to fight the organization, but I didn't want to fight the team either in that regard. So I just did what was asked from me in both camps, really.
Okay. This one here probably is. I'm going to be very blunt with this question here, and then Prof and Striker jump in, and we can maybe dive into a couple more details here. But just generally speaking, do you regret joining Astralis?
I don't think I regret because I learned some amazing people, but from my playing career, it was probably not the best choice seen in now. I don't know. I should probably have went with one of the other options, but for me back then, Astralis was a big factor. It was a powerhouse in Denmark. I think if I had gone through and made like a breakthrough like Esatag did, he made the choice to be sold himself, right? So if I played well, I could probably have done the same, but I don't think I had too much of a chance, really.
Okay.
How was this being communicated to you when when you were about to join? Obviously,
Yeah.
maybe, well, what was the expectation for you? Like, was it ever communicated that it could have led to like a permanent spot, or how was that explained really?
I think I spoke both with Casper, which is like the sports director of the team, and Sonic before joining. I think both gave me like positive impressions of what could become something that I was good with, but yeah, it really didn't end out in that way. They both returned from their stress periods, and I was just stuck as a sixth player, right?
I mean, just going back to that period, I guess like the whole like coming back from taking a break for burnout. If we look at Device's situation now, you don't really know when it's going to happen. So I presume it was like a similar thing for you as well. Like, oh, these guys are out for maybe 2 months, maybe 5 months, maybe not, maybe like forever, as you said with Zipnik. So, so that was kind of the one of the potential ways that you could have a longer position in the lineup. Because if I remember correctly, you played like it was like Pro League or Cologne, and
I played,
and then won two more maps, and then you were just put aside to play Nuke, essentially.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened. Glaive was always supposed to be back at like at a specific date, so that was very, very easy for me to know. But Sipik was more, we didn't know when he would come back. Nobody in the team really knew. But he came back after, I think this is obviously just me guessing a little bit, but I think he got stressed to see that Aztec was performing so well that he kind of came faster back from his stress period than he probably would have liked to. So yeah.
It's interesting how more stress resolves stress in a way.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Because from the outside, right, like this whole 6-man roster experiment that was happening with your mob, and obviously we had a couple of other teams do it, but the only one that seemed super successful doing it was Vitality. Na'Vi, they basically just sidelined Flamey and brought in Bit because they could see his potential, but Vitality was the only one who used it in use cases that made sense, whereas Astralis, it almost felt like it was just to plug holes in a sinking ship or a ship taking on water. Did it feel that way when you were there, that you were just being thrown around to have to fill the gaps?
I think the biggest mistake that was made for like both parties' side is that the roles didn't fit. We in a CS team nowadays, you want 2 anchors, 2 rotations, and 1 AWPer. They had that with the old squad with Magisk and Zipex being anchor roles, and then a rotation with Glaive and Dupree. But then I got into the team instead of Zipex, and that kind of made things rough, and yeah, it didn't really work out the way we could, because I don't think they wanted to give me the positions that I needed to perform, which I can fully understand. They had so much more success than I've ever had, So it's just really rough coming from this rookie stage, and you almost need like nurture and guidance when you get to that tier 1 level. But it was kind of different. I had to learn it myself because I had to almost be a different player than I was. So that was probably the most annoying part about it.
So it seems like it was pretty short-sighted in the sense of like when they had you and Esatag, they could feel Esatag could do the supportive, more anchoring stuff, and you could do. So it made sense initially, but then as things went on and people returned and other things chopped and changed, and obviously the whole device situation, everything kind of just turned into a big pile of shit, really. So like you because we're very, it's weird with it on the show, right? I feel like we don't hate like the idea of a 6-man roster, or we don't hate the idea of like academy teams and all that kind of stuff, but it's more just the way it gets communicated or the way it gets used. Do you think that's because this is happening from an organizational side as opposed to like the players and the coach and the people who actually understand the dynamics and the servers sitting down? Like, how can they get it so wrong? Because nobody seems to have gotten this right other than Vitality. And I feel like Xtaz played a massive role in their team.
I think the only way that this is going to be like sustainable for either the players or the organization is that it's going to be an academy team. I think the academy league needs to get bigger. Like, we need all the EPL teams and Blast teams to participate in this academy league for them to nurture like good talent and pick them up early, because right now it's teams like Endpoint or those in the top 30 area that picks them up instead of the academy teams. And when that happens, it's really not that good, because no disrespect, but some of these academy teams these teams have, like for example FURIA's ones is pretty bad, as if I remember. So it doesn't really make sense until they want to invest, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I wanted to ask about kind of like, obviously, like for Bits, you were just completely out of the team when Zipex came back. But then, it kind of transitioned into you playing Nuke at least, and then, a little bit more later on. When was this? At some point early in the last year.
Yeah.
But was that just a result of kind of like a compromise between the team and the organization, in terms of what you were talking about, how the team didn't necessarily want the change, but the organization was trying to push for it?
I think we got some inspiration from Vitality, right? Didn't they start with it? And then we just tried to like see if it could work, because we knew that people were prone to stress. So it would be nice to have a guy who was able to step in. But yeah, I think it was a compromise from both sides in the end. And I think it didn't really work that well, because you really want to. Yeah, CS teams is just so different from football teams and every other sport I've ever been a part of. You can't really have substitutes not playing, because then they're becoming less relevant and so on. But yeah, it wasn't really my choice to be only on this map. I think there was a lot of talks at that point where Zipex returned, and like 2 months after, there was like transfer talks of me going to another team. But things are like not that easy in that department nowadays. There's like some money needs to be made, and I need to be happy with the team, and I need to get my salary and then the transfer fee and so on. So it didn't really work out that well. And then we're almost coming to an end where we actually found something, and then Device suddenly like left. It happened in one day or something. He said, "I'm leaving."
So what was because I remember there's actually this interview where I think it was a Striker, where you say that you have some new options in terms of you're not going to be only playing one map. And then after that interview, for like 2 months, you didn't play a single map, which is technically correct. You didn't play one map, you played 0. But what was the plan then? What was you kind of working on to maybe like change these things up?
I think, if I remember correctly, I think they were talking about like changing up more roles, but I think that was where Valve introduced this rule where you would only participate. Was it the Major or the RMR with 5?
Really.
Yeah, RMRs, and RMRs was coming up, so they made just the choice that we can't do this anymore, and I fully respected that. And then at that, I think the interview got before the announcement, so that's kind of why it got sounded so bad.
Yeah, makes sense actually.
What about? I mean, how motivated are you in this position, where you come in and just play one map? Like, do you actually have it in yourself to kind of like try to prove yourself, or how do you feel during this time in terms of your performance?
I really like to be social with my teammates and have a good atmosphere in the team, so I didn't like to create drama. It was obviously very rough for me to go and say to Sonic or whatever, "Hey, I want to play instead of this guy," or something like that, because I was friends with that guy, and he was also my teammates on 4 other maps maybe. So it was really rough for me to be this guy who just stepped people in the back because I wanted to play, So I just took a more passive role at times, because I didn't want to break off like their success or their like unit. So I just tried to fit in wherever I really could.
Is that something you regret, kind of not stepping up a little bit more?
At some points, yeah, but I didn't feel that they were necessarily interested in me being so much a part of the team, so I didn't really want to push it against their will.
Right.
So it was more a situation with me and the organization at the end, where could you end up?
I wouldn't mind going back to this Device just one day he's out situation, right? And I think from your perspective, maybe it was a little bit different to say like the Glaive and the Zipex and the Dupree and the Magic's position, right? Where they see that and they go, holy shit. But you got to see that unfold. Like, how shocked was the crew that had played with him for all those years? Like, did you see the impact that it had on the team when he just like picked up and left?
I remember we had the biggest joke, because obviously the negotiations was between the players and Astralis back then, because their contract was running out right at that year. So people were saying when we were outside and just taking some air after Device said it and left, guys, let's log into our Gmail and sign those contracts, because we're not getting a deal now, because they had a very strong unit. You have to respect and see that the five players and 1 coach with the same experience. Is it called experience date? Yeah, I don't know.
Expiry date.
Expiration. When they end at the same time, they have every power over the organization, because they're all or nothing. Like, they can say, legit, give me $40K dollars a day, or we're gonna leave, and then you're gonna have to buy 5 players, and it's gonna be 10 more times expensive. So when Device left, that kind of broke off, right? And that didn't really help how the team wanted to move forward. So I think at that point the collective kind of got broken up. Everybody was figuring out what is the future gonna hold for me, and yeah, people found out.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, right? Because it like obviously that was seems like it was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was mainly just it was like the first domino tipping. Like it like splintered the entire
Yeah.
unit, the 5 that were remaining, including Zonic, right? So that's quite curious, like how much of an effect that would have had on everybody just to like have him pick up and leave. Now, you're only 23, right? So you're still a young buck, mate. So
Yeah.
like for you to go through that for the last 2 years and you were the butt of quite a few jokes for people on social media with
Yeah.
like Bubzkji and everything like that. Like, how did you handle all that? Because you're sitting here, you're very well spoken, you seem quite mature. Like, did it get to you at any point? Like, did it affect you?
I mean, at some point, like mentally, it did affect me, but I didn't really make people know that it did, right? And I didn't really. Astralis has this performance model and like very sports-driven kind of theme going on, and I don't think my trollish kind of weird way of saying things on Twitter would work that great in that regard if I just memed myself every time people said anything about it, which I do now. But back then, it wouldn't really work. I'm just assuming that it wouldn't work because I know the organization well and they stand for something else than I do in that regard. So yeah, it was a little bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, you're probably more on brand with G2 than
Yeah, exactly.
Astralis with the
Yeah.
whole stick up the ass type, super professional sports bullshit, right? So you definitely a bit more the meme lord, and you got an opinion, right? That's what, like,
Yeah.
even though I don't agree with all your opinions, you have an opinion, and that it separates you from a shitload of players out there who don't tend to have much to say whatsoever. Okay, so there's so much stuff with this Astralis situation, right? Like, I don't know how much more we want to dive into now, guys, because I know some stuff is going to come up in the questions later. Do you guys
Yep.
have anything crazy pertinent right now that we want to get out of the way with Bubzkji?
I guess just one thing. I mean, considering like it's from reports and everything, it seemed clear for quite a long time that the trio would just be splitting apart, and basically Zipex and Glaive would be the only 2 players left from that original core.
Mm.
Was it never a part of the conversation for you to join those 2 and maybe build something with them? Considering like it was quite a long time before you actually left the team.
I actually never got the reasoning for why I was removed. I just got a phone call and he said you're not going to the major. So I don't actually know. I was a part of the plans in the start of the years, but I think some things happened in the negotiation department because Zipex was out looking for a team. He made
Right.
this statement with I think it was Louis,
Hmm.
on the, and he said he was looking for a team, and I was talking with the team on how we were moving forward. I played the major qualifier. I did pretty well, and then I get home and yeah, I got benched. And I don't think I know the full story of why it happened. I think me and Glaive had a very hard time playing together because we were so similar in our play style. Maybe he had a saying. I'm just guessing. Like I could really understand if he had a saying in it because he could see that it wouldn't probably be optimal for me and him to be on the same team if a guy like Config, because he was gonna sign for a long time, was gonna come in as well. So yeah, I think they got to that conclusion after that I needed a guy like Zipex so they didn't end in a situation like before.
Mhm. That like that one when they like, because the team that played in you played in Cologne, right? My memory's getting
Yeah.
worse, man. I'm getting too fucking old.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that Lucky was playing then too.
Oh,
Oh,
No,
he
he
got
was-
afterwards. We
There
did.
you go.
I think we finished third at Cologne, lost to G2, and
That,
then
that was the Glaive opping and maybe
Yeah.
a bit of Magic opping as well.
Yeah,
and like
we just
Oh.
we just played the op everyone.
I remember. Okay, and then I remember. Because it was in the hotel, right? We did it in the hotel,
Yeah,
and I remember I saw Zonic after, and I said to him, I said, "Mate, have they started talking about who's actually going to play the major yet?" He's like, "Well, no one's asked me just yet." I'm like, "Well, good luck with that conversation when it fucking comes up." Because like that was all like you could tell that was always going to be the conversation, right? That was always
If
going to be such a fucking someone was going to miss out.
yeah, if I could do it, if obviously I'm just living in a dream world where my reality would be the best one, right? It's not probably not the best for their sake, but I think if Astralis would have let us 5 without an AWPer finish the year together, and then they could have rebuilt, I think that would have been way more smooth for them in both. Like they didn't have. I don't know if Lucky was like a long-term signing they made. I wasn't in that process, so I don't know how they viewed that. But now they signed Farley instead. Maybe they could have waited and got Farley instead of Lucky in the first place, so they didn't really get this confusion. I think that would have been the best solution, but I can understand that they wanted to get an AWPer in early so they couldn't like get him into the system.
Yeah, and then put him on the rifles, of course.
And then put him back on the AWP.
And then kick him. There we go.
I think your
This is Casper behind this, trying to kill me because of my comments right now. I mean, this is a joke. This is a joke. There's no one behind this.
Your house could be haunted right now.
I need to fix this.
Okay, do you want to fix it right now?
Go fix it.
Yeah, maybe Lucas can put me off the cam because I have no pants, so it's gonna be awkward.
All right. Well, we'll get Prof to fix this. Take him off, Lucas. There we go.
There you go.
Okay,
There we go. All right. Lucas is paying attention, I promise. All right. So I guess what we could do now is, because we do have some music.
He has
questions.
pants, man.
He
Don't
has
lie.
pants. He's fucking lying. I can
He
see
has
it.
pants.
All right. So I guess like you alluded to this a little bit at the start when I was asking a couple questions about what you're up to now. But what's the future looking like for you? Are you still keeping up to date? Are you still playing a shitload of Counter-Strike, or what are you doing at the moment? Obviously the media stuff, but
I'm chilling at the FaZe, I'm queuing those late night lobbies still. I do enjoy it, but it's kind of on a casual level right now. Like I still
Okay.
play with like guys from Heroic, guys from Astralis, guys from like Copenhagen Flames. So I still play at like a high level in terms of what you can expect in a puck. But yeah, it was like it's the reason why I'm not on a pro team right now is pretty much self-chosen. Like I got offers from like some teams. I'm not gonna name them just because they got their lineups now, right? But I had a couple of offers that I could take and just continue playing full time. But I didn't really want to join a team just to be like a paycheck stealer and just play for the sake of playing. I really only wanted to join if I feel like this team could take me far and I could take them far, and I didn't really have the motivation to do so. I've grinded 2 teams from the bottom, both Fraxters and Trick, and I know how much time it takes. Like you have to at least prac 8 or 9 hours a day and keep playing individually, because otherwise you're not gonna catch up. So I decided not to do that again and just take a breaker with the media thing.
okay. If you had a choice, right? Like, and obviously this is down the line, but would you like to play in a Danish team again, or are you at this point you don't really mind?
Like it really depends if my motivation changes. Because right now, if like Heroic asked me or Copenhagen Flames asked me, I would say no. So it's not really like I'm begging for an offer. If one day maybe like I get bored. Oh shit!
No,
Shit. Happens. Okay, whatever. But yeah, maybe if one day I return to like my old me and have a more grind mindset, then I would happily look for a team again.
Yeah, I can only imagine like how much like demotivation would happen being thrown around like you were for 2 years. Like after you're on this rise, you've done the grind. Like it's like now I get to join Astralis, and then like they just fucked you. Like it's happened to you. It's happened to Lucky. Like yeah, that in itself would be like a very demotivating situation as far as competition goes, because you work really hard and then it kind of gets taken away from you for no wrongdoing of your own, right? Like that must fucking suck.
Like I could have played better definitely at times. Like I didn't play up to my normal level, but obviously wasn't in the same role, so it's kind of hard to compare. But I can see from a standpoint where there's a case where you say I didn't play well enough, which I fully respect if people have that opinion.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I was just a bit zoned out because of the whole thing in the background.
Yeah,
just can you tell me about like what the demotivation and everything? What would like? Does this mean that you at the moment you don't want to like compete, or what is the kind of the vibe?
Like for me, I don't want to compete right now. Like I don't take offers. I don't ask for offers. Anyone who asks, I just politely decline them. Right. The reasoning is not really obvious. It's just how I feel. I don't know. I just go with the flow. I was presented with this opportunity of being full time at the Danish Counter-Strike thing, so I chose to take that, and I enjoy that right now. But it's not really something permanent. So maybe in like let's say 3 or 4 months, if I have a different feeling, then I'm just gonna go full grind again and play from a lower tier team again. I know that I'm not gonna stay relevant for 4 months more. Like I know that the way I'm playing now is gonna limit my opportunities in the future. So I'm just gonna go back to like tier 4 or 5 if that's what I have to.
Yeah, you've got a very mature like view of all of this. Like you've obviously given this like good thought. I like the concept of kind of just going with the flow, right? Because these opportunities, like what you're getting a view at right now, is like another side of esports, right? That you're actually getting to see it from a different perspective, and that's something which can actually be very valuable in how you go back if you do go back to playing and how you go back to
Yeah,
playing. Because I know you and I have had conversations in the past, especially like around franchise leagues and all of that kind of shit. Maybe this will give you a bit of a different perspective now you're on this side of the camera.
obviously, I think I spoke with you before, like casting a BO3 for more than like you cast 2 max now, right? 2
Yeah,
max
yeah, yeah.
BO3. I casted 3, and I was just dead. Like I've never tried anything as bad as player, so I can definitely see where some of that you guys are annoyed that players complain because you guys have it just as shit.
Yeah, well, look,
Yeah.
for us, the easy job with what we do, Bubzkji, mate, is as long as you don't fuck up, you're all good. Like you
Yeah,
don't. It's not performance based. As long as you don't go out there and do something like
ex
heinous publicly, you're good. You're good. You know,
yeah.
as long as you don't fuck, it's all good. That's like you know, got a couple mottos out there. I'll tell you when we're off air. A couple of the other ones, you'll enjoy some of them. All right, well, guys,
wanted to ask about one more thing.
yeah,
Just
of course.
going back to
Yeah.
the broadcasting thing. Would you be up to doing English stuff as well? You know, if ESL came knocking and whatever wanted you to do analysis for an event.
Yeah, sure. Like if it doesn't interfere with my current job, but it's kind of rough to do an ESL tournament that we're sending on the Danish
Oh, right,
TV as
right, right.
well as the English one. But like, I wouldn't turn it down. But my English abilities isn't the best. But it would probably develop over time.
I think you'd smash it, man.
I think you'd be fine.
I
yeah.
think your
Yeah.
English
Yeah,
is banging. I don't think you're gonna have any problems with English at all.
Okay,
But
I'll
if
take
you-
that as a compliment.
Yeah, if you want, I can message some people and we can put your name in the pipeline if you're interested.
Let's
There's a
see.
couple of events coming up. All right, gentlemen, are we happy to jump into the recent news? We're putting
Yeah,
through his
cool.
paces now.
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
do it.
Lucas, roll the bumper. Let's get stuck in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe, let's get into the recent news. Let's get stuck into all the good stuff. Now, a lot of this is going to be pretty quick fire because there's not too much to delve into, but there's definitely some opinions here that we want to be getting.
Yeah. There are like 2 big news with the NBK and Brollan. And then the rest I think we can leave for like how we feel after the 2 big ones.
Sure.
And just moderate the length based on the how much we used before.
Okay, well, let's start with the MBK
good.
situation. So I'll do a quick little summary of it, and then I think then we dive in with opinions after that, right? So MBK joined MOUZ at the start of the year. Obviously, Rops was on the way out. They also replaced Acor, and they brought in Torzi from the academy team. The year started for them with Katowice, and at Katowice, unfortunately, Bimus was not able to compete because of COVID, and they had to use JDC as a stand-in. So the roster complexion at that point was JDC, Torzi, I'm going to try and do it correctly from now on, we got Dexter in the mix, of course. We got Frozen right in there, and MBK, right? And MBK was returning from Valorant. And I know that me, for example, I was very skeptical to know what Nathan was going to be able to bring back. But they had the event, they looked pretty good. And then they came here to Pro League and they played with the full roster, right? So JDC, he went back to the academy team. Bemis came in and Bemis played well. I thought MBK was actually playing much better than what I would have given him credit for. I think he was looking pretty good. And then not that long ago, it was the start of the week, last week, right? It just ended up that he was removed for the team and replaced by JDC and was actually a bit vocal about it. If you wanted to read, he made some tweets. I know that HLTV put him in a bit of an article form going on there if you guys want to read a little bit more about that. But it blindsided him and it came from nowhere. So this whole change, Prof, we'll start with you. Did you see this coming? Did you think he was going to get the? How long has he been there for? Like 2.5, 3 months? Like it's fuck all.
Not even
He played. I can't say how many
10
maps, but not. I think it was
20,
25.
25. I think
it was
the
25.
number was, yeah.
I think it was 25.
Okay.
It's very weird. It does show that somewhere along the lines, MOUZ kind of fucked up because otherwise it doesn't really make that much sense. You can say that JDC's performance in Katowice gave them a bit more confidence that he is ready for the next step, that they maybe didn't have that information at the start of the year when they were rebuilding the roster. But for me, it doesn't seem like a massive improvement that is going to warrant the change. For me, in this kind of a short span, and just considering you signing MBK like 2 months ago, you played 2 events, one with a stand-in. Like, why not give him the period until until the RMR and the major, and then after that you can bring up JDC, because JDC isn't someone that's going to be like swept away to some other team, I presume, unless his contract is running out like in 2 months. Like, he is in your academy team, you can do that whenever. So it's just, for me, it was kind of a weird move. I'm not saying that it won't work out long term, but I don't think the timing and everything kind of adds up for me to make a lot of sense, right?
Things like these only, like, this is just from my perspective, things like sudden roster changes often only happen if the whole team agrees that this needs to get fixed now. It's not like, because the organization often wants to extend the pain or whatever you can say to make it a more fit spot where you can cut someone off, like, for example, after the major, which is almost like a transfer season in Counter-Strike, right? So but sometimes I feel like organizations make a very bad case of them who is to blame for roster changes. Like, we know for Astralis, Kasper Witt is in charge of like signings, but who is in charge in MOUZ? Who is in charge in these? Like, I don't know who to blame. Is it the players who didn't want to continue anymore? Is it the management who just said, okay, this guy needs to go? Is it the coach? Like, I feel like there's so much clarity missing when people get removed or handling situations like these.
We're doing a bit of we have to do a bit of theory crafting, right? Nathan seemed to only have positive things to say about the teammates in the tweets.
Yeah.
So and he made some follow-up tweets saying like there's speculation, and he was talking about how he was, his attitude was one of the main things that he was focusing on to make sure he had a positive one within the team. Because I think maybe some of the indiscretions in the past that had been noted. Yes, Striker?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like why he got shafted by this entire announcement. I think MOUZ really fucked up with the wording and generally just with the way that they communicated this, because as far as we can tell from everything that's been said publicly, outside of that like one statement that was actually said by Cyclone, I think, in one of the in the original announcement, but from talking to people in the background and from seeing NBK comment on it publicly as well, and in terms of like how this is received, like everything says that it was more about how they thought JDC was just a better player, moving forward. It wasn't anything to do with NBK fucking up or being toxic or anything of the sort. They just thought, they just put a JDC and NBK next to each other. They thought, okay, moving forward, we just think JDC is better. JDC is just a better player, and you can make that argument for sure. Like, JDC definitely showed a higher peak than what NBK probably could have ever hit, if you think about kind of like the playing stage and how well he played there, because he had some really banger series and just big maps that NBK can have occasionally, but not as consistently as that. Like, he had a really good entire stage of Katowice, right? So that's just something that is really hard to ignore if you look at a really young guy as JDC and you think of him as like a star of the future. And if you put him up against NBK, obviously the long term is obviously different. You're just thinking in different terms. But obviously, like, you brought in NBK for a different reason than for him to be the star, So that's where I agree with Prof, where he was saying MOUZ kind of fucked up in this case, where they probably, well, I'm not even sure if what they expected, but it's pretty clear that they wanted him to bring in some sort of a leadership, because that was something that was a problem with the previous iteration of the roster. Dexter not necessarily being enough in terms of like experience and leadership, and they just needed to have somebody else to come in. And so for them to come out with this PR where it was something like, we really appreciate JDC's positivity and attitude, and you're like,
why
the implication is obvious. I mean, not obvious for MOUZ apparently, because as you said, talking to people, it doesn't seem like that was the problem. Like, I don't no one told me anything behind the scenes that there was like, oh, NBK was toxic or something like that. Like, everyone was happy with him overall. It was just like, okay, this guy is 5% better in the long run, or maybe in the long run he can be 50% better, right? Because he's a young guy that's still developing. But yeah, the communication was really bad, and like, for me, it's really rough for a player like NBK, considering he had all of this bullshit and now he's getting offered a new chance and just being shafted in literally 2 events that he didn't even play badly. Like, he played pretty
had some good rounds,
He had some good maps as well, like against Vitality, against OG. Like, played a role that's not his standard role. He was being like very aggressive in terms of the rifling. And this is also a question that I don't really understand. Like, what is JDC now going to take that role? Because he wasn't, like, just comparing the stats, entry attempts for JDC and MOUZ NXT 18.4%, which is kind of on the lower scale. Not the super passive, but not aggressive either, right? And then NBK was 22% for MOUZ in these like 25 maps, right?
Yeah.
He was one of the more aggressive players on the team. So it's complete role mismatch. And then Bimas was a player that used to do those roles. And then they put them on
And
the lurk, which he fucking nailed.
He's the highest rated player of all the groups.
So you're not going to move that. So you're going to put JDC in these roles and expect him to be the same as he was before. I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if that's going to work out. Seems kind of weird for me.
Yeah, I think they just made a wrong signing from the start. Like I don't get how they got NPK into the mix. No discredit, when he played CS, he was absolutely great, but he had left, and I saw this video, I'm coming to dominate Valorant or something like that, right? I think everybody remembers that, and he didn't play for a whole year. Then he's still like relevant for a team like MOUZ. Just blew my mind. Obviously he must have shown something in practice, and he's a guy with experience, but I feel like experience is so overrated nowadays because you're going to get it so fast anyway, and there's so many talents you can take from, and they had such a good academy team. So I think they just realized what everybody else realized, that they had a great academy team and they could take JDC as like a 5% better player.
Well, that's one of the things with this academy team that people need to take into account as well, though, right? MOUZ and XT are competing against, teams consistently within the top 30 and, taking up some big scalps. It's not just like it's any academy team. It's the best academy team. Right? Yeah. So that's something else that has to really play in here. So, yeah, there's obviously a couple factors here. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, when I watch this MOUZ team play, this is now a very young team. Like, it feels like a very, very young team. Like, and the problem is, like, when I watched them play at EPL, they were playing like outsiders level of boring Counter-Strike, just like slow defaults. I was like, are they just here to just practice defaults? Like, is that all we're doing? Is that what we're doing for fucking 5 best of 3s? We're just practicing slow defaults. And I couldn't like quite put my finger on it. It didn't feel like they had any identity. It was just like, unless they want that to be their identity, which maybe they do. But I don't know. Like, to me, it didn't feel like MBK was the problem. Like, if I'm going to be honest, my boy Dexter feels like a bit of a problem at the moment, right? Like, I think that in terms of him being now, he's been overseas for a year in game leading. Like, it's a year now since he's come across. I think we need to start seeing a bit more out of him. And this is one thing I'm thinking, if they're going to put Dexter and say BMS on the extremities for the lurky roles on the T sides or whatever, then he's not going to be in the pack to the in-game leading, and they're going to put JDC, Torzi, and Frozen in the pack. Like, I'm a bit confused here, but this is it. They must have a plan. They must have a plan of some variety.
IGLs is just in a very, very high stock. Like, if you're an IGL, you're almost relevant for any team as long as you can just kill people like 10 per game. There's nobody to take from almost for MOUZ. The best IGLs who have proven themselves on an international level are already taken, and if they were to buy one out, they would have to probably spend more money that they're willing to. So I feel like it's just a compromise. And I think NBK could have joined and been an in-game leader. If you want. I don't know how good he is on it. He was in Vitality at some point, right?
Yeah, kind of
like on and off, I think.
I think we lost Bubzkji, guys. Look at his webcam.
Yeah, I think he did.
He's gone. He's out of here. It's a black box. We'll get him back, guys. We'll get him back.
He just dropped for a bit.
Lucas will get on top of that. Don't worry about that. It's all good in the hood.
People are saying that about like potentially kicking Dexter and keeping NBK. Then there's the whole talk about their major spot, and they have to have Frozen Dexter and Bimas to keep the RMR spot. But that is only technically correct because Astralis are not doing that, right? They're replacing Lucky with Farley and just having both of them sign up, and they're going to do a swap and play. Most likely, they haven't confirmed this, but
they have to if they want to keep the spot. Let's just say that. Like, they literally have no other choice other than
they can either that or not play the RMR. So I think we know what's going to happen in that case. So yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. There could have been another decision, but it didn't happen. Hello.
There he is.
We're back.
Yeah, it's all good. You're getting DDoS by Astralis or something like that. Right? You said too much.
It's a bit too late. It's a bit too late for that now.
I actually wanted to clear, like, I have not signed any, like, people constantly ask, do you have signed an NDA? Do you have signed an NDA? No, I haven't signed anything. I think it's very, very uncommon in Denmark to sign an NDA.
In esports, they're not even called NDAs; they're called friend DAs. So, like, I don't think they count for a whole lot around here. But that's basically what you're saying is a bit later in the show, we're going to get a lot of Astralis shit talk out of you. So go grab a beer or two, mate. We'll see if we can get you a bit loose, and we'll see how much we can get out of you. All right.
Cool.
Where were we, boys? Oh, I don't want to cut. Well,
No, just to finish off on the MBK thought. I don't know if anybody else has any sort of thinking, but like if you think about it from a MOUZ perspective as an organization, if you're a talent scout, or not a talent scout, but just generally a scout or a guy who's looking out for the options, and you look at MBK and what do you expect from him, or what you get out of him, I think that pretty much matches up. Like I think he did about as well as could have been expected. So that alone should tell you about kind of like how they're viewing JDC rather than NBK, as like a big enough upgrade for them to make the change. So I think that's something that, yeah, people just should change the mindset about, like, if they talked about this attitude and positivity, like that it has to mean that NBK was toxic. I mean, clearly not. From everything that we've heard, clearly not.
I think he did well, like compared to what you could have expected.
Yeah, no, I agree. He performed above my level of expectation. Now, are we cool to jump forward, boys?
Yeah.
But this is a fun one. Smooya, I guess he's like...
Do you want to talk about Brollan? Because Brollan's not on the list.
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let me just type this in here. Brollan
B-R-O-L-A
joins NIP dash official. Actually, fuck official. Look at this. I'm editing live, guys. Bang, it's up. Okay, so this news broke today at 4 p.m. Or 1600 CET for those of you playing at home. And look, the video they did, they tried to add a bit of comedy. They tried a bit of comedy in there, and we like that. We lost Bubzkji again.
Yeah. Give us a rating of the video 0 to 8. 0 to 8. No bait.
No
bait,
look,
mate.
The fact that they tried, right? It's like if G2 videos were like 8 out of 8, they can have a 6.
Yeah.
They give them a 6. They tried.
Threat's voice acting made it.
Yeah,
it was actually enjoyable.
The cinematography was pretty good. The color grading, it was really, the setup was really nice. That sold me.
Brollan also naturally looks like a prisoner, like when he was looking at it. Just everything.
They had keyboards instead of guns, guys.
Oh yeah, that's
it's
true.
I noticed that on
the
second.
I'm
it's
dragging
like an Easter egg,
back. Hold up.
Oh, there you go.
I'm bringing him back. He's back. There we go. He's in.
Okay, here we go again. What a lovely internet.
Well, you didn't miss a lot. We were just talking about this video that the guys from NIP did for Brollan. What did you think about it? We were giving it a rating out of 8. Did you see it?
No. But is it good?
Well, we gave it a 6 out of 8.
What is a 10?
We were using like G2 stuff, like G2 high quality stuff as an
benchmark.
8, as an 8 out of 8.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, the fact that we're giving this a 6, then I think we're giving it a 6 because NIP did it. So I think that's why it's getting a 6. I don't think it would get like an actual 6. It's just like, it's a Swedish 6. There you go. It's a Swedish. Okay. That can make a lot of sense. But this is the thing, right? So they announced this, and then they didn't really say what was happening with the roster. I know that you've done a bit of investigating here, Striker.
Yeah.
I know that you feel quite passionately about this subject. So I would like to give you the floor here, if you would like to take this time to let everybody know how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Astralis all over again, isn't it? You want to fucking figure out who's playing the next tournament, and they're not going to tell you until the match starts. So that's pretty much like my entire frustration with this, because obviously they have a plan. Obviously there's a plan. Whether or not they know when device is coming back, they know who's going to play, who Brollan is going to play instead of, right? Like, there's no way they don't know at this point. So why don't they? First of all, okay, whatever. Why don't they say it outright? Like, of course, you can make the argument that, okay, they're being secretive because, like, they want to play the information battle and they don't want to. Yeah, okay. Do you want to play it, Lucas, or? Okay, let's play it.
I clicked the very
and
wrong button.
I can continue.
Let's play it. Let's play it.
No,
Get it up there.
you can keep talking over it. I just clicked the very wrong button.
Oh,
we can't talk about.
But you need the audio
like,
for it.
Yeah, you kind of
You
need
want
the
the
audio.
audio?
Play it.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
no.
audio.
Oh, no.
Let's do it.
Then I
So
need
Bubzkji
10
can
more
see it too.
seconds.
Okay, 10 more seconds.
That's
Shall
all
we
good.
count? Should we count?
10,
9.
Oh no!
8,
How?
Don't
But I
Don't
can't
press
play to
6,
Bubzkji.
Stop talking.
5,
Stop fixing.
3, 2,
Okay,
1.
I'm ready.
We
I
go
think-
live.
I think. Does this have sound?
Yeah, the problem is I don't know if we can hear it. Let's see.
20
Nothing's
seconds.
happening, bro.
Yeah.
Does no sound. I think.
I guess you have to play it.
Maybe it has sound for the
Wait.
viewers, but not for us.
Yes, Brollan.
Okay. Well, just pretend you can hear
Two-time
it.
Yeah,
HLTV
so something
top
like
20 player
two-time
Brollan.
top 20 player Brollan.
Was it like Alcatraz or whatever?
Yeah,
in the
something like
start?
that. Yeah, I think
These
that's
are
what
the ninjas.
that's the reference.
Inglorious.
You heard
bastards,
about
people
us?
say.
Okay, but
just wanna
without
say
video,
we're
this
a big
video is
fan
not
of
looking
your
so
work.
good right
You
now.
like, I like the
think you
nod.
showed
It was good
Really?
action from Brollan there.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of myself.
He did
Having
Good
an
angles,
outfit
man.
that can't tell.
Yeah,
But the
it's
status
we
in
just
the
see a
scene
guy behind
is
the
still
fence and we
amateur.
can't see anything.
We all come here
So,
to see if we
Brollan
wanna
is
go
doing
pro.
his best Brokey interview
Person.
impression. Yeah.
he hasn't said anything yet. Well, that's, you know, he didn't have to say anything. That's the best content you can possibly do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It's like his communication in Fnatic.
The
That's it.
lightning goes and IPL.
Yeah, that's
All right.
pretty much it.
So the people at home get it. Bubzkji, you're gonna have to watch this later on your own time,
Yeah.
unfortunately, mate. We can get some audio going for you there later. But Striker, we got interrupted by this. I want you to keep
Yeah.
going. I want you to channel. I want
Look,
you to
the thing
channel
is,
your
like,
anger.
That's the thing. Like, I've lost all the frustration while we were talking here. Like, if you asked me 2 hours ago, I'd still be pissed about this because I was
Okay.
just like in the middle of all of the other stuff. Yeah, so I'm much more calm at this point, but I definitely wasn't when I was tweeting about it about a few hours ago. So
Well,
people got the bad side on Twitter. I'm actually going to be pretty calm here.
Well,
But I-
Striker, I'll just do a Jonas here and say, like, why are you bothered about us doing an amazing new job and pushing the boundaries of CS in a way that no one else can think of or pull off because we are so smart and smarter than anyone else?
Yeah,
Can we put a
the thing is,
disclaimer here just for a second? I just want to put a disclaimer. We like, well, I don't know about, I'm not going to speak for all of you. I like the players at NIP. I like NIP, the team. I like the team. I like their coaching staff. I think Heechum's pretty cool.
The logo.
I don't hate the logo. I think the logo's fine. I don't
he
mind.
didn't say he likes it. He said he doesn't hate it.
The bit that I don't like is this man who seems like a puppet. I don't like the puppet man. I don't like the puppet men. The puppet men are coming and they're making things bad. Puppet men bad. Okay, that's all I'm saying here. NIP is fine. I like NIP, but puppet man bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that I just wanted to make that clear.
Who is Puppet Man or Puppet Men? I'm not sure if this
Maybe
is
there's
Vince.
men.
plural.
Vince.
Okay.
A
I mean,
Puppet
for-
Man.
For people who don't really understand what I'm talking about, right?
ESL shall hate puppets.
Oh my god.
All right.
Destroyed
Oh,
by
man.
AJ17. Sorry, who was talking? Please
Yeah, I
take-
was-
Striker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, for people who don't understand what I'm talking about, right? This is not the first time that this is happening with NIP either. Like, we've had this happen every single time ever since they got device in and they started, figuring out ZTR, LNZ, FUZI, whatever. I think every single step of the way, we didn't know who was gonna play in what event until basically just before, and it took forever for us to get confirmation on that. Nobody really knew, and obviously, like, people were making the argument that this is okay, information battle or whatever. This is what I was getting into before we got into the clip. But teams who practice against them know who's playing.
Mhm.
There's no denying that there's like teams know. Like, if you're in the background, you're gonna know who's playing for NIP. It's just the public that doesn't know. So that's not an argument. So that's one thing. And like, yeah, I just don't understand the reasoning. Like, that's basically the only reason I could see why you wouldn't want it out there who's playing the next event, because there's also like the arguments that, oh, they're still gonna have to play EPL and you don't want to put it out there that this team is dead. The team already knows it's dead. Like, they know who's getting cut. They know that they're going to play with EPL with a roster that they don't want to play in the near future because Brollan's going to come in afterwards. And by the way, Brollan can't play in EPL because he was registered for Fnatic and they can't change roster unless it's an emergency, which this obviously doesn't constitute. So that's not going to fly, right? So, like, at this point, like, there's really no reason for you to keep this information to yourself other than just to be an asshole, Like, I really don't understand the point of this at all. Like, you just might as well say it,
Well, we have an expert here on misdirection from organizations with 6 men. Bubzkji,
Yes.
what do you think? Why do you think that they play these games? Why does it make sense to you that they play these type of games?
I think in an environment where people aren't so observed and informational, it would work. Like, but people are too well informed, so it doesn't really work to communicate this way. You see it in football often that teams are being like, "Oh, this guy, we are in negotiations that he's gonna resign," and then 4 months later he's leaving on a free transfer to some random club. Like, yeah, I think it's from the normal sports world that you really don't want to tell what's going on behind the scenes. Some organizations have adapted this way of communication, but I think it's a rough environment to do it in. We have Reddit, we have HLTV, people are constantly looking into these things. We have sites where people check servers and so on. So it's almost, for me, it's almost the best way you can communicate in this environment is just be honest, really, and try not to blame anyone, but just be honest with your
Yeah.
fans.
I think if anything, it's even better for the team itself and for like, let's say FUZI's going out, right? Oh, hello. Let's say FUZI's going out and that's like the deal for the next tournament or whatever for after EPL. You might as well just release the pressure out of him, you know, and just like let the public know that okay, this guy's not going to play with us anymore. Nobody should really care how he does here, and that's going to relieve a lot of pressure on him. He's probably going to perform better because he doesn't have to, you know, have this all in his head. Like I'm gonna be viewed as whatever the reason why NIP didn't go far or whatever it is, you know. So you might as well just put it out there because it's going to be literally easier on everybody, and you're going to be much more transparent about what you're doing in the background, you know. And I think people will like you the more for it. So I just don't see a point, you know. That's my problem with it. Like I
we
just
even
don't
saw
understand.
late last year with all of these dead rosters that most of them had good runs, especially like after the information came out for Liquid. They had a decent run. Vitality even winning a tournament and all of this stuff. I know for Vitality it didn't come directly from them, but it was pretty much out there. They didn't comment, like they didn't say, oh, this is happening, but it was even implied by the players. They're like, we don't know, we'll see, maybe it's like the last time, whatever. So it was a lot of play on that. The information was essentially out there, and it's going to be the same now, right? You're just making everyone's life more difficult, and like the fans are just going to be more confused by like, oh, they signed Brollan, but you didn't say who was playing at EPL, so people are going to be expecting Brollan, and then they're going to turn up and they're just not going to be there.
To elaborate on that, they actually did say that they didn't necessarily say that. I think Jonas actually confirmed it in some replies to like some guy who actually asked this directly.
Tweet,
where he said like, okay, we're just playing EPL with the roster that, you know, played from the start, because they don't really have a choice. As I said, that's because of the transfer regulations for EPL. They can't really bring Brollan in mid-tournament. So they've confirmed that, and they basically said that Brollan was going to join in time for the RMR, you know, and just like that's something that they did say in the statement. The problem is when
can he play the RMR though?
Yeah, he can.
Okay, so Brollan can play the RMR.
That's why he didn't play the qualifiers, because that would have made him ineligible, I think.
Okay,
if they qualified, yes.
At least if they qualified. I'm not actually sure if that the rule with like if you play for any team and that,
I don't think
you know,
that works.
I'm actually not 100% sure if you can or can't play once you start, you know, playing for one team in these qualifiers. But either way, like he's going to be eligible to play at the RMR, and they've already said that that's kind of like the goal for him, where like that's going to be his first event, right? So like all this information is out there. The problem is with kind of like the implication that this is going to be an extended roster, you know, and that's why I'm saying like it's Astralis 2.0 in terms of the communication about this, where obviously it's not a 6-man roster. It's just, you know, a 5-man roster. You're just waiting for the 5th guy to come back. And that's the deal. You can't hide this. Like that's obvious that's the deal. They constantly talk about, oh, Dev's like when Dev's going to come back, this lineup's going to be fire. Literally, the CEO said this on Twitter today. And so, like, why don't you just say how it is in the entire thing then? Like, why don't you just say how it's going to be in the meantime, you know, before Dev comes back? Who's out of the team now? So that's like, we know that there's a plan for a certain 5 to play at the RMRs. There's no way they can't even play with a 6-man roster. They can only make one substitution during the tournament. So obviously that's not going to fly. So that's my entire problem with this entire way of communication. I think it's entirely confusing. It doesn't make any sense from any standpoint. I really can't come up with one way where it makes sense.
Okay, so this is the thing, right? Like I have a problem right now, because if I speak and I say, remember what I said about that? Is it Rolf?
Rolf, I guess Rolf.
When I said what I knew about that situation, then they just like take what I said and then they just change it, and then they were like, well, no, that's not exactly what happened, but like I know.
That situation was when he was supposed to play at Cologne or something.
One of the events, I forget which one it was, and they didn't sign him up in time. I can do the same thing now, but then the problem is, like, I have nobody who can verify the source other than the fact that I know, right? Like, so that's the problem. Like, I can say what I know, but then people have to take me at my word, and then I can very easily be turned against me, and then they can, you know, make it seem like I'm not saying the right thing, right?
Are you allowed to say what you know?
Well, I didn't get the information from I didn't get it from like an ESL employee or anything. Like, I'm not breaking anything with my employer.
That's up to you then.
We trust you. We trust you.
Trust me, bro. Source trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro.
Source trust me, bro. Strikes again.
Yeah, it's the best one.
This is the thing, though. Like, it's like because like Jonas will just come out and discredit what's said, right? So it's like, what's the point? Like, because I know that they're playing silly games. That's fine. You can play your silly games. Like the
So
five that I feel quite strongly that they will have for the RMR will not be FaZe. It'll be Brollan instead.
Yeah.
Right? Like Bubzkji and S-Attack aren't going anywhere. Like that's the two that people think are getting replaced. FaZe's only here because they just qualified with him for the EPL finals and they have to play the EPL finals. And then everyone's gonna go, but who's gonna AWP? Who gives a fuck? Right? Like I think when you have the likes of Rez who can do some AWPing, S-Attack can do some AWPing, they don't necessarily need a primary AWP. They've been functioning for some time without a primary AWP.
Even
Right.
Hampus can do some hopping from like the past and stuff. Like he's done some secondary, I think.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, as far as my understanding is, the five that they would be playing the RMR with will be the 5 minus FaZe, right?
yeah,
That would
so essentially the 5 best individual players that you have.
If you don't have
Disregard-
device.
other than
yeah,
Device, who we
of
don't
course,
know
like
when he's coming back.
Disregarding the roles, that would be the best players essentially. But if we're talking about like one reason why they wouldn't want to say the lineup like 5 days in advance or like 12 days or 15 days in advance, it is because like if something changes, then they're just going to be like, oh, this was our plan all along.
Oh yeah.
We definitely knew Device is going to come back because they're probably gonna, if he's anywhere near close, he's going to be the 6th man that they signed up. I would presume that they signed him up because they, even if they qualify for this, I don't know if they can make a change between the RMR and the major.
I don't
So
think
they must have signed him up as their 6th. Like you have,
Yeah.
like there's no fucking way you're not going to sign him up for that spot. So then if it's like, oh, Devek calls one day, like after seeing them at EPL, like, hey, I'm ready. It's going to be, this is our lineup and this is what we wanted to do all along. And if they go into EPL and like forget to sign up their player or whatever, then it's going to be, this guy, yeah, we obviously wanted to play with Bubzkji at this event or, you know, with FaZe or whoever. So you have more maneuvering space if you don't tell people what's going on.
Yeah, and that's true, right? They can chop and change any of this decision making. But I don't know, Bubzkji, you've been on the receiving end of the shit side of this. But if you're like Device in this position, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't return for EPL, which he probably could because he was signed up as one of the subs, right? So he could, I guess, in theory, he could return for EPL. And then like he just decides he wants to return for the RMR, like he's kind of fucking over the whole team just to come back that late. Like what do you think would be, if Device wanted to have a soft entry back in, when do you think would be a good time?
As fast as possible, because I think the whole project is almost maneuvering around his return. I think Brollan is an excellent signing. I think it makes a lot of sense to have him alongside Device, but they're not really signing any AWPers, and for me that's a clear sign that they're expecting him to return. I know S-Tech can play a second AWP or a main AWP, but it's really not going to win you a tier 1 tournament, right? You know, it's an AWP-dominated meta, so they're really, really counting on him, I think. And I think that could also pressure him a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to think, like, if I was Device and I wanted to come back in, right? Like, I think for the team, ASAP, I agree, right? But for from like a personal standpoint as well, like we don't know how well he's been keeping up his individual ability, if at all, right? I know that there's like, he's been playing a couple of FaZe games. He plays every now and again, right? Yeah. So it's hard to tell like what type of form you'd come back in, and to jump in the middle of like a major cycle, because realistically after the RMR, what's the major? Like a week and a half after the RMR? Like that's when
it's like,
2
2
weeks.
I think.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not a long time. So that's like one of the bigger question marks right there. It would be great. Like then the question is, does Device come back and say S-Attack or Bubzkji's spot? That's what becomes the next conversation if Device is back, right?
I think, for me, it would make sense with S-Attack, because he plays he plays Mirage A side. He plays those really hard anchor spots where you're playing alone and you have to have really good aim. Bubzkji plays those where you're a little bit more alone, but it's like easier sides like B Mirage, for example, where you can just stand and jump on car, right? You can play a little bit more on your senses, but I feel like it makes more sense because Brollan is that type that S-Attack is good at, that he would be the 1-to-1 replacement. Also, I think that the hindering of him speaking Danish, like people who say Swedish and Danish is close are lying. Like it's not really that close. Like you can maybe understand, but it's almost like switching to an international team for a guy like S-Attack. So yeah, I think if the communication isn't perfect, I would be very scared for him to lose his spot. And I think the fit with Brollan is better with him.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how this trends and if Device does come back, right? Because I think that's the thing that would propel, like, think we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago, but a couple of episodes ago, boys, where
Always
this was like,
speculating.
yeah, well, that's what we do, right? That's the whole point of the show, is to have a conversation about Counter-Strike. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm glad that Brollan's been able to get back in the server now. Like, I didn't want him to stay on that Fnatic bench for a while, just like withering away, and because he's still quite young and very talented, right? So it would be a shame if that happened. So I'm glad that Fnatic and NIP could come to the deal that they did.
Yeah.
That's a positive right there that we can look at. And I think that this team, the way that we're referencing at the moment is that they have a high floor, right? And well, now they've added, something that's going to make the floor even higher, right? You would say, right? And it's also going to increase the ceiling. So I'm excited to see what this team can do. They've got the brain trust over there with Threat, Hampus, and DJL now. I really like the combo of DJL and Hampus together, and Threat doing all the work in the background. So it's actually one of these projects where they've kind of just been grinding along, and I'm sure Jonas will take credit for all of his like stand-ins from the Academy League type situation, right, as to why they're so good.
Not of which stuck around, by the way.
No, but this is the thing I want to make clear for everybody. If somebody who is completely disconnected with what we do, even if they played Counter-Strike 20 years ago on Aztec, right, is coming in and they're saying that, like, oh, we don't think this is sustainable, and we think this, we think that. Separate that from the players, please, because like, I would tell you, if you sat down the majority of players, they would think that Counter-Strike, right, is very important for the 5 in the server. And, I think we had, Bubzkji, you were just saying something similar to this before, like the relationship with the teammates and stuff, right? Do you think
like,
that a 6-man roster can work, or do you no go?
Oh, absolutely not. Like, not really in this environment. I think the permanent solution is just going to be, as I said before, have an academy team where you can pick someone up from if you have a guy becoming sick or you have a guy playing worse, but then you don't really like switch between maps. Then you would like, okay, we're going to bring this guy to this event, see how he performs, like kind of with Navi did with Bit, right? They put him all in, which I like. Then you give him the trust. If he shows brilliance in those type of games, keep him and then get rid of the old one.
It's going to be one of these things we'll keep our eyes on here, because we're big NIP fans on the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess
that's the thing. Like that's what I wanted to say as well. Like the actual decision making in IP, I think has been good on the whole. They obviously pushed for the device signing when they got that opportunity. They definitely spent a lot for him. That's one thing. And of course you can criticize them, and I was one of those critics that said maybe you shouldn't have had young players from Young Ninjas play for the team after we get Device. How is the Device going to feel about it, that he has to play with players that aren't ready to compete at this level, and that didn't actually prove that they were ready to compete for like half a year. But you can say that they were also waiting for better opportunities, and they got it with the SATAG edition. Of course, maybe that isn't the best example, because it hasn't really worked out perfectly with him so far, especially because of the communication side. But at least they're pushing for pretty high profile signings.
I would give them credit as well for performing actually decent,
Yeah.
under like very weird situations. Like
Yeah.
they're at least in the top 10 still, and like they're going through their groups, and
Yeah, they've remained very competitive. So that's why I'm saying, like, based on results, yes, they haven't really made themselves like a bigger title contender yet. Of course, they had that what was it, IEM Fall run, but that's pretty much like that was a tournament where the playoffs didn't necessarily matter so much, and like obviously it wasn't a stable level for them either. It's not like we've seen that from them before, but they have been a consistent contender for like playoffs finishes, and that's reasonably rare in today's Counter-Strike, where you have somebody consistently being competing for the top half of tournament performances, and that's considering their situation, that is pretty commendable, to be honest. Like that, you're right, and I agree with that 100%. That's why I'm saying, like, the decision making itself is not what I have a problem with, because they've clearly pushed for having a much better roster than they did this time last year. Essentially, they got Device, they got Attack, now they got Brollan. And if those three actually came in together, that would have been a fucking massive, trio signing. So, like, obviously they have an ambition to be better than they are at the moment, and they are willing to spend money to get there. So that's all of this is great.
I agree.
Just fucking communicate better about it.
It's fine. It gives us something to talk about. If they didn't do that, Strike, what were we talking about? Prof, what were you going to chip in with before, man?
I mean, just like final kind of thoughts on overall the transfer, like Brollan going from Fnatic, which isn't a Swedish team anymore, to the best still kind of a Swedish team. I know they have Danes, but they're speaking Swedish, right? I think that's great. Just overall, oftentimes we have, these teams that just need like one more piece, and that piece is stuck in another team, which isn't going to sell them, or they're going to only sell them for a fortune, which is kind of what happened here from what we know. Like the Brollan buyout was pretty big. He did resign kind of recently, had a long contract still going, but a lot of the times these transfers don't happen. And then we always have like that feeling, this is the team that is missing something. I think with Brollan coming in and Device, like Brollan, probably the best rifler in Sweden. You can talk about Hampus for some times. Rez is now coming in form, but if you look at like the last 2 years overall, Brollan, despite all of Fnatic's bullshit being kind of very bad and having some good times, he was the consistent force overall. So you have that. You have the best Scandinavian opper probably in Device when he comes back, I'd say. And then you have like three really good players. I don't know who the third one's going to be, but Hampus definitely like a rising star, and Rez, who, if he continues anywhere near with this form that he's been showing this year, this is a fucking amazing team, right? And then Fnatic, they get a bunch of cash, and then they can maybe make something new out of the lineup that they have, which is going to be an international team moving forward, right? They have a shit ton of options to kind of find a new talent and to upgrade and make a team that makes sense.
Okay, everyone happy with NIP?
As always.
Okay, well, yeah, there we go. You're on topic with the show here, mate. All right, I'm going to send you a link, Lucas. I want you to bring these up for everybody. We'll quickly just jump into some of the teams who have qualified for the Blast Showdown. So for those people
What is this? Okay.
Huh?
That looks so fucking weird.
I thought the second guy was like either Anders or similar, but it was Bald Sponge.
That's not how my head looks.
Go back to me. Might have to shave my head soon anyway. I look like an alien head there.
You look insane, mate.
Holy shit. I think because my hair's forward, it's making my head look big. All right. Where were we at here? Oh, yeah. I sent you a link, Lucas. Where we at?
Everybody stop now.
Lucas is having fun tonight, mate. Yeah. He's having fun tonight. Okay, so for those people who aren't too familiar, the showdowns are moving online, which obviously they were during the online era, but it feels like Blast are keeping them online, and they've made them regional, right? So the showdowns, there's one in NA and there's one in Europe. And in the link that I just sent to you right there, Lucas, is we can take a look at the teams who have qualified so far. So Copenhagen Flames qualified, Movistar Riders, and the Bad News Eagles qualified. Now, I think the one here that is probably the biggest is the Bad News Eagles, right, Prof? You're probably the man to ask about this mob, because we've spoken about them before on the show, right? They were known as
Blink.
Yes, and then they had some organizational issues, and then the entire team was able to get out, right? And now they're without an org. Would they be the best team without an org right now?
I think without a doubt, and they have a spot at the RMR and the Showdown, which
is huge. Yeah,
the Showdown, like as good as it is, it's not really going to amount to anything. Most likely, if you look at the teams that are there, Heroic and NIP are there, and there's one spot only from this whole bracket. Like, it's cool, they're going to get some like limelight, but they're objectively not going to make it through. But it shows like where they potentially are just being at the Showdown, right? But the RMR is like that is legit. They could make the major. They could like get a sticker, and they could be an Entropic, what they were last year. So that is, I don't know. There, for me, it seems like a kind of a no-brainer for someone to sign these guys.
Okay, and that's the biggest takeaway out of this, right? Like, I guess Copenhagen Flames and Movistar Riders. That's not too.
Yeah, 0-0 Nation
didn't
qualify. They lost to Movistar, and then they also had those losses in the Pinnacle Cups, losing to our boy smooya, losing to Young Ninjas, and to some other team, which is not great overall. But yeah, that's what happened. Copenhagen Flames are back, I guess.
Okay, well, it's good to see them playing some good form. I saw Roy having some good stats of the day. We don't have to spend too much time on this, boys. So yeah, I guess we can jump back to the smooya topic, because I did skip that one.
Yes.
smooya on trial with Into the Breach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is a British team that he's playing with now. I don't know. Didn't he allude to something when we spoke to him last time, that he might have been playing Counter-Strike with some of his national lads? I don't even know. Like, I watched him carrying a game where he had like 30 kills and someone on his team had 2 or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what smooya does now. Like, has he branded himself out? Does he just have to do like a fucking UK team and bring them to glory? Like, what happens to smooya now, Bubzkji?
I think like I really believed in him when he went on like different shows and said he had changed, and I also played with him. and I felt like a little bit different. Like he felt like he learned his mistakes like from beforehand, but the way he went almost like ex-girl kind of crazy on Twitter kind of made it like I don't think any organizations is daring to touch him when he behaves in that way. I feel like he would have had another shot if he would just have been quiet and professional about it. But he really seems to damage his own brand, and I don't know. I feel like really a little bit sad for him because I feel like he's such a great player. Like holy shit, this guy's so great when he wants to play, and his mindset is on winning only. He can definitely be like a top 10 AVP in the world. Like he's really really good, and you can also see he goes into the breach team and just annihilates everyone, right? So I think if he can take this team to the next level, I think that's what he's gonna have to do now, because I don't think a lot of teams, especially now with fully franchising, and it's very rare to get a spot on a good team nowadays, that they're willing to take this chance. So I wish him the best with this project because I think he could be like a leader role if he takes responsibility.
That's going to be difficult, right? Because not only does he have to worry about, playing very well, he's going to have to try and have that knowledge to up and coming players from his own country. And I think the brand with UK Counter-Strike goes, it's not always the easiest to do, as I see a bit of a smirk on Prof's face just there. So it's going to be a difficult task for him, but maybe it's a fulfilling task, right? Like maybe if he's able to do that and then do what we were just talking about with Bad News Eagles, for example, right? Like there's something to that. There's something to that doing that with your countrymen, right? And grafting hard. And unfortunately, you need money to pay the bills. And I get worried every time I see smooya make a tweet, got $10,000 buying skins. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What
I
are you
think
buying
he's
skins for?
investing or something. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't understand the skin market. I'm a noob for that.
You know what's going on, Bubzkji?
No, like obviously it can be a very easy way of making money if you're a trusted guy, because then people automatically are willing to pay like 4K. Let's say your skin is 4K, then they're easily willing to pay 200 euro more than it's worth just to know they're not getting scammed. So you have that credibility of being a pro and being a verified personality and a streamer that really helps you in that game. But it's a very fed market that there are a lot of people in, so you have to really know what you're doing.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know anything about the fucking skin market. I got no idea what's going on over there. I'll stay away from that shit.
I bought a lot of the major stickers. Good profit. You should do it, Sponge. Then you know.
Don't give people financial advice about buying stickers
No
in a video
financial,
game.
no financial advice.
Come on, Lucas.
This is not
don't
financial
do anything
advice.
good
do it.
profit. Only spend money that you're willing to lose, guys. Once it's in the system, it's Valve's. It's not yours. It's Valve's. They take it all. That's why you wonder why Gabe's swimming around in pools full of dollar bills, because once it goes in, it ain't coming out. All right. Where are we at here? Let's jump around. So this Pinnacle LAN was announced. They're going to LAN. It's the first time they would be going to LAN. Does anybody a bit of an expert on this one here? It's in Lund.
Yep.
Did I
It's
do
in
that right?
Lund. Yeah.
West Lund.
Sweden. It's in
That's
Pretty
Sweden.
close to
actually-
Denmark, actually, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's near Malmo. It's like, I would say maybe 2 hours from Copenhagen. Not even that, probably.
Okay, that's good. Good location.
So potentially they need an analyst. Potentially there's one analyst from Copenhagen that wants to do stuff. I'm just saying 1 + 1 equals,
2.
if we're talking about Astralis,
Bubzkji.
6
21.
or 7.
21.
Essentially it's
Quick
kind
maths.
of a cool it's cool that we have more tournament organizers doing LANs, and they have a couple of cool teams, Heroic, Fnatic, and Imperial, aka The Last Dance. Still, when I read Imperial, nothing happens in my brain, and then I remember FNX to major, then the hype is there, right?
FNX 2 majors.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just cool, and it's gonna be in a smaller arena, so maybe there's gonna be a crowd and stuff. So just a cool thing, and it's good that we have more non-ESL Blast LAN events, arena
100%.
events. Yeah,
I've kind of missed, like as a viewer, I missed the old circuit a little bit with Starladder and everyone.
yeah.
where, like,
DreamHack events as well.
Yeah, DreamHack. Yeah, it was a little bit different, but obviously it's maybe nostalgic talking as well.
It was more variety though, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could actually, it was much easier to compare. Now it's people just comparing like ESL and Blast. And I read like people saying like, all the production and then I understand that person doesn't actually know what production is when they type it. And I'm like, well, this is fun. So that they're just basically comparing which break music they like more. Yeah, it's one of these things where when there was a lot of TOs, there was a lot more competition. What's up, Striker? What are you giggling about?
Props tweet, man. I have like Twitter open on the side, and
Oh,
it's just like
you can't
instant.
multitask around here, guys. What are you doing?
The thing is, like, it just pops up because I just have
That's why
tweet
we
deck, so it
pay
pops
you
up
to
on the
be.
side.
You have to be fresh with the memes, or else they don't work.
That's true. But that's why we pay you to be the host,
Yeah.
so we can like zone out for 10 minutes.
Giggle,
and,
giggle.
Like,
you know, do
I
shit.
have to schedule my memes like for times when it, I can't send them out like. I'm just gonna give you. No, I'm not gonna give this one yet. I'm not gonna give this one yet. It's gonna come out some point after Pro League is done. There's gonna be a tweet.
Okay.
Oh, you have it scheduled already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have it scheduled.
He's
Do you
planning
actually
the
schedule?
move.
Do you actually schedule them, or is this?
Yeah, I schedule because obviously if I find something in my head, I throw it out. But I save. I have a lot more tweets than I tweet out because if I just fire out every day, they would get like 10 likes because I would just fill people with spam. So I have to.
Quality control.
And some of them don't make sense in the context of what's happening in the scene.
Okay. All right.
That's holy shit.
I had a
man.
meme where I would talk about like Simple being a goat. Like I would tell my kids about him, but my parents told me about like like a war hero back then. But then the war kind of escalated, and then I
Then you
kind of had to
can't.
Don't leave that
couldn't
one.
take
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
That
exactly.
tweet doesn't work anymore. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
current situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair enough. That one makes sense. All right, boys, just quickly on this Pinnacle Cup so we can keep it moving forward. 250,000 in Sweden. Heroic, Fnatic, and Imperial are invited. There's a bunch of qualifiers to get on in there. It's going to be a 8-team LAN, and they did a fun little trailer for that. So if you want to check it out, Pinnacle Esports, and I believe the guys at Black Molly Entertainment are going to be involved in the production there, and that's a
We
good
used to
mob.
do like dream hacks and stuff, right?
The Black Molly guys are good. Nicholas and all those guys, they're a cool crew. Okay, I want to talk about this Godsent thing because this is where like I read it. I saw the news today. Like I saw the video they put up, and I was like, didn't we already fucking know that Henny was playing? Like what?
Yeah.
Why is this news? But apparently, Striker, it's permanent? Question mark.
Yeah. I mean, the report when the Phelps benching came, the report from Dust2, I think, said that it was going to be Henny coming in as temporary replacement. But it turns out, and then Godson have actually confirmed this, that Henny just got a long-term contract, like a multi-year contract even, until January 2024. So clearly they want him for the long term, and it seems that Phelps is still. I mean, they're branding him as a sixth player, but I would imagine he's still kind of like out on whatever problem that there was in the first place, And whenever he's willing to come back, they're probably going to figure out who is going to go out of the team or maybe play a 6-man roster. Who the hell knows at this point, right? They don't really have much to play where it matters, where they can, switch around people because they haven't made it to the RMR. So that's a pretty important thing. So yeah, they just have some time to figure things out. I would say.
I know that not the joke. In Brazil, they call Henny the alligator, right? So that's what he is. Now,
Okay.
I still don't completely get it. If there's any Brazilians in the chat right now who can explain it in English of why he's called the alligator, that would be great. I'm happy to call him the alligator. I like the nickname. It's all good. But I have to worry, is he a different type of animal? Is he a cat with 9 lives? Because how does this happen? How does he go from the whole Furia situation where Furia looked fucking like sick? Furia was sick when Henny was in there. Like I loved watching Furia when Henny was in there. He was the primary AWPer, but he never really had to do the crazy aggressive stuff because Art's off there like doing all the crazy shit, running in there, the combat open. And then Henny would come in and win these sick clutches. And I love a Henny reaction, the Henny pop off. You remember a Henny pop off, right? This guy's going nuts. He's standing up. He's like, fucking come on. I don't know what he's saying because I don't speak Portuguese, but Henny as a player, right? I fucking love watching him. I think he's sick. But Henny is like I don't want to say as a person, I don't know him as a person, but in terms of like front-facing stuff, that has obviously been an issue for him, wanting to be with his brother, maybe, having a bit of the party boy or the bad boy kind of like shine about him and things. And now he has another opportunity with Godsent. Like, surely he can't fuck this one up, right, guys? Right, guys?
Yeah, we don't know.
In 3 months.
No one is gonna take that bet. Essentially, I'd rather take the international teams bet in the current landscape with the top 3 being 2 international teams than Henny not fucking up this opportunity with Godsent, essentially.
But he's a great player, so that's probably why he gets
Yeah.
another shot, right? But yeah, I think he deserves another shot, but maybe not as a great team as Godsent was. But the opportunity came with the situation around Phelps, which is obviously unfortunate.
Yeah.
How many months until Lucas is in the team?
That's not going to happen.
I don't think
I think
actually
Taco's too smart for that.
I think they learned what like. It's also such a bad thing. Like this, just talking from experience. I played with Steven and his brother. It's such a bad thing because they will always be together in everything. You just create a dynamic in the team. It's them and us, you know.
Yeah.
So I would really prefer not to play with people who are twins or brothers unless they were like extremely professional in that regard, where they could take criticism from each other and don't like create a bad culture around it.
And
I
those
mean,
two
you
are
have
twins.
experience. You have experience with that, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I don't have a twin. Did you ask that?
No,
No,
I
no,
meant
no.
I meant from
No.
Fraxters though.
Yeah, from with Steven and Dragonfly. They
Yeah.
they were kind of like that sometimes.
Is Dragonfly still playing?
I know he's studying something.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. He was the AWP for the team, right?
Yeah, he was the op guy.
My memory's still all right. It's still all right. I remember the squad. Okay, so yeah, Lucas, Henny, twins. We don't have to worry about that situation going on there. I'm actually excited to see what this roster can have. Right, I think that Godsend are a little bit rough that they didn't quite make it all the way to the RMR, but we'll see what happens to them in the future. What else we got here to close off on before we're done with the recent news? The HellRaisers on hold. I think that makes sense considering the climate right now. Wonderful is one of these AWPers from the region that we talk about a lot. Prof, are you the wonderful expert around here?
I'm not. All I know.
I played
here we
against him.
go.
He's good. Like he also copied every single setting that Simple has. Same mouse, same sensitivity, same res, same everything. But I think he could take it like far. He's like kind of like Monacy right now. I do think he has a little bit of an attitude thing if you've watched his stream, but I think he's absolutely insane. So get out there, boys, and get a cheap bargain.
There we go.
The only qualm that could be, and we've obviously spoken about this quite a lot in recent months, is the fact he's from Ukraine.
Yeah.
So do we know if he's still
from
in
he's
Ukraine?
from Odessa, and he was there last time we checked, but he was considering leaving. And
He's
I was
17.
hoping
Yeah.
I was hoping that he leaves it as soon as possible because it's kind of things are moving towards there.
Wasn't it 16 to 60?
No, 18.
18 to 60.
Oh, okay. So he can
have
leave.
to be over. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
an absolutely insane picture.
he's
He
the
was
only
playing,
guy. Yeah, sorry.
He was playing on an iron board, like where you iron your shirts. He has his mouse on this, and then he like found like a table from the garden where I was like middle, and he would sit like I don't know. It was
Oh,
it was
fuck.
absolutely insane.
Yeah,
Somebody can find
I'll
it.
find it and link it to Lucas. It was on his Twitter.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane.
I guess he was not at home at that point.
I think he was on the run, right?
So he just had like a ghetto setup, a maximum ghetto setup.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, but he's the only guy from the team essentially. That's why he's on the market, and the rest of the team is kind of up in the air because they can't really leave. They can't really play, obviously.
Yeah.
So
This
yeah,
picture.
not much you can do if you're the rest of the team. But he can leave, and it looks like he's planning to. It's just
Yeah,
there's find a team.
There's that like I think it was a Czech site that did a report that he's like joining Enterprise, which is a Czech org. They have an international team, number 80 something in the world or something. So that could be.
I mean, they did well at the
That
V4, but they've since lost the Opera, and that's kind of
That feels a little too low for a guy like him.
Yeah.
Like I think he's proven himself exactly on that level, right? I think he would like go to
like an endpoint,
endpoint. Exactly. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I think endpoint would be a good choice for them. Like there's a lot of teams who need an AWPer. Even like if a Danish team like Trick would go international, they could also get him. Like I just think you need to snatch these talents because they attract more talent. Like if you get one good player on a low level, like for example, we went through that at Trick. We got Shoes, he was really good, and then we got me, who also performed, and then we suddenly kept building on. It's so much easier to build it on a team if you have some like important bricks in the team that you're never gonna have to change because they're good enough already.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good way to look at things there. All right, guys. I think we can move on from the recent news now if everyone's happy. Oh, we got Skinionaire.
Skinionaire.
Guys, I need a second. I need it's really struggling to sit for long periods of time after I fell off the skateboard the other day because I landed on my tailbone. So just bear with me if I'm moving around a lot. All right, it's.
Do you want to go for a walk? For
No,
like 2
it's
minutes?
okay.
I can take over.
It's all right. I'm not going to be a little bitch about it. We'll keep going. If I just keep moving, that's why.
Where does it hurt, Chad? Can you show me on this picture?
Mainly my ego and a little bit of my hand. but mainly the ego. All right, let's get into Skinionaire. This is brought to you, everybody at home who's already typing Bitskins. You know the drill. Type Bitskins in chat to enter the draw. We're going to be doing the quiz with Bubzkji today. And this is brought to you by Bitskins. I think I already said that, but I'll say it again. Bitskins.
Bitskins,
All right.
Bitskins.
There you go. That's it. We've
He
done
isn't
sponsors.
even a player, so he can do whatever
Yeah,
he wants.
exactly.
Let's go.
Perfect.
That was the first thing I did when I left. I changed my mouse pad after day one.
Yeah?
Oh, that's
So I didn't have to use this one.
What pad are you using at the moment?
The VAC one.
Okay.
The one with the waves.
I saw the new pad that they made, the one that's like 4.5 mil thick or whatever.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to VAC. Like they're absolutely great.
Good
I
work
don't
over
I don't get paid for it, but
Yeah.
There you go.
Again.
We do have a classic sponsor, which is also amazing. I'm going to say that. Xtrfy, if you need any peripherals,
I'm
head
such a
over
bad
to
fucking
them.
guy.
All right, let's do this quiz. Lucas, you ready? Lucas isn't even fucking talking. Who wants
There
to
we
be
go.
a Skinionaire? Question 1. What HLTV ranked as the second highest ranked team in EPL Group C have? Is it 12th, 16th, or 20th? The
We have-
second highest ranked team.
This is the group that is coming up, which is kind of shit. That's the understanding from this question as well.
Are we supposed to answer this as well?
You're
Or-
meant to answer.
you
I
have
can
to
click
click
it. You
it.
can just tell me and I'll click it.
Oh yeah. I can't check the website, I guess. Then it's
No,
gonna be cheating.
that was cheating.
I think it's just gonna be like 16, right?
Ooh.
We go for the middle ground.
All right, all
That
right.
should be big or liquid,
I
right?
got no idea.
There we go.
I
There
quite
we
literally
go.
have no
Let's see.
idea. Locking it in, 16. Correct answer is 16.
Yeah,
Middle
it
of
is
the
big.
pack. All
It is
right,
big.
nice.
This is
Okay.
they're actually 17.
Well, that would have changed probably after Prof did the thing yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
went,
give you that.
I went through our preview. I forgot that it
Oh,
was updated later on. But it was same shit. Doesn't matter.
Close enough.
So it's close enough.
Yeah. All
Do I
right.
win anything? Or is
Oh,
it
no,
only
no.
chat?
Right
Okay.
We're
now-
going on up to 5.
Yeah, and you don't win anything. You're winning this
Ah.
for the chat. One lucky
Okay.
viewer. I didn't explain the concept. So basically, how many questions you get
Bubzkji
correct?
watches this all the time because I know.
I
Because
don't watch
you...
Skinionaire. I skip this part. It's not
Okay.
Well, okay. Basically, there's 5 different questions and 5 different skin tiers. And every question you get right, we move up a tier of skin. And then at the end, depending on how many questions you get right, one lucky viewer will be randomly drawn who's spamming Bitskins in the chat right now, and they will win the skin. You are basically helping one
Right.
of our viewers get something nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're being a good guy right now. All
But
right.
I can. Wait,
yeah?
Sure, go.
All right. Question number 2. Who played less maps than MBK for MOUZ? Woxic for C9, Bubzkji for Astralis, or FNS for C9?
4-4 C9. 4-4-2
Oh.
C9.
I don't know. I played. The thing is that it's maps and not games because I played quite a lot of games, but not so many maps.
Yeah, because just
Yeah,
nuke
because-
for
You
3
Yeah,
think you
months.
played less than
exactly.
25?
Okay, sorry, I don't know. But
We talked about like
let's go.
NBK was
Voxic,
25.
Voxic.
Woxic?
Yeah, he
Okay.
didn't play for a long time. I think they got rid of him really fast.
Here we go. Locking in A, Woxic. And the correct answer is A, Woxic.
Oh,
All right. I
hey,
like
let's
this.
go, boys.
Nice. All right.
$2.5.
Question number 3.
By the way, Lucas stole one correct answer. Like he should be on the
Yeah,
top one. No,
I'm getting
no.
last.
I don't know. Maybe he's not. It's all good. Let's
What's
just
happening?
continue. Let's just
Just-
continue.
No. It was good.
I'm so
Everything's
confused.
good.
All right,
Everything.
all right.
I'm just
Question 3.
bargaining here.
Question 3. Which team has secured a slot at Blast Showdown in the last week? Apex, Dignitas, or Copenhagen Flames? Well, we went
That's-
over this.
That's it. Yeah, we already went over this, so this is terrible, and that is of course Flames.
Okay.
There
well,
we go.
I feel we gave a freebie right there. We Prof, what are you doing with the questions, man?
I
You're
don't know.
making it a bit
Maybe
harder.
it could be rigged.
Okay.
It could not be rigged.
We just like
May-
giving away free shit on the show, apparently.
I mean, this is what you do every time someone
That's true.
misses an answer. So
Yeah,
shut
you're right. Fair enough. All right, question number 4. Finnish talent. How do we say his name? Is it like
Yimpat?
Yimpat?
Yimpat.
Is 15, but how old is his older brother Sergey?
He's
18, 20, or 23?
Ugh.
Well, whatever.
Striker, you want to chip in?
If you're
with
unsure, I
Yeah,
can chip in.
he's not 18.
Yeah,
but
I think
he's
he's
either
20
20 or he's 20 or 23, but I go for 20. Looks young.
Locking in 20, and the correct answer is 20. 4 out of 4. We ain't stopping here. All right, one more to go. This
Going
is
for the
full
knife.
sweep.
going for the knife.
Well, a skin valued at $50, not necessarily a knife.
I think it's this one. I don't know. I
Oh,
think
is it? We just give away the same skin
So-
every week.
So
yeah,
if
but
I
it's not
make
for the
this wrong-
same person, so it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, question number 5. Which team did Crimbo play in before rejoining Big Academy? Now, this is a good one.
Oh, I know this, I
Koana,
think.
MOUZ NXT, or Sprout?
I don't know this. I thought it was the other guy who played in Alternate, but this is not him.
I can give
Who
you a hint.
says-
Yeah,
Who
it's
says
not
this
Mouse,
guy didn't
yeah,
also
It's
play?
Koana. Let's go with Koana. It sounds too stupid to not be it.
This is Crystal's team. Locking it in. And the correct answer is Koana. 5
Good
out of
job.
5. Bubzkji, you've absolutely smashed it. You've absolutely nailed it. For the Who Wants
He
to Be
also
Skinionaire,
did
brought to you by
play-
Bitskins.
Yeah,
Also did play an
I type
alternate.
I type Bitskins in the chat if I win, I'll get to keep it.
I don't know how the
Technically,
rules
there's
work.
no
but
rules against that. So
that could
Okay.
be fine. All right, Lucas is randomly drawing now. And the winner is
Christian
Christian
Win.
WM. Christian WM.
Christian Wimming.
I don't like, Christian, that you've only been following since January this year. But if you're a new viewer and you're watching every week since, that's okay. But thank you for joining us, Christian. All right. Thank you for getting on board in 2022. Everyone, congratulate Christian. Let him know. Put your XQC. What?
Ads.
Play the ads.
Wait, now?
Yeah, we're done. Play the ads.
Oh, I mean, I just wanted to play it after this.
Lucas, play the ads.
The Xtrfy M42 RGB, what a fun mouse with 5 colorways, lightweight frame at just 59 grams with the swappable backplate to suit your grip style, the sensor, the easy core, the smooth skates, and driverless control for RGB and DPI is why you should check out the M42 RGB down below.
Buy and sell your skins now. Easy, fast, and safe. The best skin site. Credit card deposits and withdrawals. Instant cash out methods. Get the best deals. Quick, simple, reliable. Bitskins.com.
All right, we're back and we're going to jump into ESL Pro League Group B and previewing Group C that is starting tomorrow. Bubzkji, you were casting and analyzing and doing all that good stuff for Group B, right?
Yeah.
And you-
A.
And but you told us some good news about Group C. You want to tell everybody at home what's going on in the Danish broadcast for Group C?
Yeah, we decided not to send the Group C because it's, I don't want to say too bad names, but like they're not interesting for Danish fans.
Yeah, not going to really get the viewers. No one.
No.
Is there not even a single Danish player within the group?
Oh, and the teams are not even fan favorites. Like FaZe, for example, in Denmark is still very popular. Even though if Kerrigan is there or not, there's like these certain teams who can still draw viewers who are not like specified
guess-
by being Danish players.
Yeah, G2 probably.
Yeah,
also.
G2 also, Navi as well.
Yeah, I mean, Liquid did have pimp play for them once upon a
Yeah,
time.
that
I
is
don't know
true.
how
Did you
there
know?
isn't a
How
bigger.
did you know?
Look, he just made a tweet about it today. I'm like, whoa, I can't believe he played for Liquid, and
you
also
really play for
alongside
Astralis?
Glaive. Also alongside Glaive, yeah. So good things to know. I don't know if someone asks you on the street or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's start with Group B and let's break this down here because
I actually have some breaking news.
oh, okay.
okay.
Apex just beat ENCE in a qualifier for a qualifier for a qualifier for Blast Spring Finals. So ENCE isn't going to qualify for the qualifier for the qualifier for Blast Spring Finals.
They do play a
Edge.
lot of qualifiers, don't they?
Yeah,
That's just the way Blast rocks.
Yeah.
there we go. That's it.
All right,
Congratulations
thanks for the breaking
to
news.
our good mate Stico. That's it.
Yeah, Nork's over there, right? Jacob's over there. Some good names over there. All right, let's talk about Group B here. So
There's a lower bracket. Maybe they can qualify for the qualifier for the qualifier. That's
Fuck
it
them.
is how it is.
Fuck the qualifier.
I think that yeah. Anyway, Group B for a ball
Bubzkji.
terror. FURIA and ENCE, they were the best 2 teams in the group, apparently. FaZe just squeaked in. Vitality missed out. Outsiders returned to the old version of Counter-Strike that the Outsiders were playing. And Sprout, they put up a good fight and won a couple of vertigos, right? But where do we want to start here, Striker? Do you want to start with talking? Let's start with Vitality. I think Vitality is a big one. I asked you where you wanted to start. I'm telling you where you're going to start. You're going to start with Vitality. So you start off with Vitality because I was remember how we all picked the team and I gave the rousing Vitality speech. Like if you clip that and then played it after someone can make a meme compilation, I'm sure, because things didn't go very well for the French-Danish mix.
Yeah. I mean, they basically just just beat Sprout in the games that mattered, because obviously they beat Outsiders at the end, but at that point they're already eliminated. So
Mattered for
it's
FaZe,
kind of
though, didn't
difficult. Yeah, it mattered for FaZe for sure. So big up to Vitality are probably FaZe, But yeah, I'm not even sure if there's anything new to learn about them from what we saw in Katowice already. It kind of seemed like a lot of the same issues. Not necessarily as much on ZywOo, but he was still pretty off compared to what we're used to him. He had come up a couple of off games, couple of good games, but just not the ZywOo that we are used to seeing. But even looking past him, I feel like there's just a lack of depth on this team in terms of map pool for sure. And Mirage is just a massive fucking problem for them. They haven't really managed to win it. That didn't even get close to winning it, I think, in any of the 5 times that they've played it. So like that, if you have one map that teams basically take off you anytime that they play it, that's going to be a problem for the team. And even the time where they expected somebody to play, who was that? It was FURIA, I think, that didn't actually pick Mirage, but they still beat them on Vertigo, I think it was. Pretty big time as well. So just issues across the board, kind of. And I'm not necessarily sure where they can go from here.
I thought like that with Magisk and Dupree fitting so well in, I kind of don't know if it's like a bad thing for them, because if you look at all their CT sites, they hold together, and then the Frenchman is almost on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
Like on Furno, they play together. On whatever Mirage, they play together. It's almost like they play 2 different maps when they do it like this. I don't know if it kind of hinders their communication, a way of playing, but yeah, something is definitely wrong inside the team. I think it's the communication.
Apex has said that they make sure that they're only communicating in English. So let's operate that we take him at the word for that, right? Like, it's obviously hard for us to know, but that's what he said. If it was me, I would much prefer my teammates, if they're in a 2v2 with the Danes or a 3v3 with the French, to go to the native tongue to get the information across. But whatever, right? Like, but I think regardless, there still has to be a communication issue for the Frenchies speaking English, right? Like, especially for ZywOo and Masuta, right? Like, maybe for Apex, he's been doing a lot of interviews, he's always in front of the camera, right? Pretty personable guy. Like, his English is fine. I sit there, I have very lengthy conversations with him. For Magisk and Dupree, they're in the same boat as you. They're going to have absolutely no issues speaking English whatsoever. This is where the thing comes in. Like, it's going to take time, right? And that's what I boil this down to. Like, I think we saw the potential when they just ran over Outsiders, right? In that matchup, that this team, they can be good, right? They can be good. And I think they took that matchup, even though it meant nothing in the outcome of the group for themselves, they took it as a point of pride. And I can respect the fuck out of that they went there and they played to win, not because it mattered, right? But because they wanted to show everybody we're not, and probably themselves, like, we're not shit. Like, we just had a bad tournament. And that can happen, right? Like, that can happen. And I don't know. I think, like, some people might start ringing the warning bells a little bit early here on this situation, but it doesn't make sense how this can't work. Like, I'm not saying they're going to necessarily win all the trophies, but you just look at the compilation of players. It almost doesn't make sense how it won't come together to some degree. Like, I'm trying to poke holes in it. The only one here who might feel like he's left out in the cold a little bit is Masuda, because he's going to get shafted in certain positions. But I feel like everybody else should be getting pretty much what they want, right? And maybe it's the English lag, right? Because not only is that you're sending the communication, also receiving the communication. So I don't know. I think, like, the major cycle itself will be the test. If they don't qualify for the major, okay, we got some fucking issues. Maybe we have to look at doing something. But if they qualify for the major and then they go and they get into the second stage of the major or whatever, maybe they're just one game away from playoffs or something. I think that's, like, trending in the right direction. I don't know how quick. Like, Bubzkji, you're probably the best equipped to answer this question. With a team like this coming together, how long do you think is a realistic amount of time to give them before we see them operating at, I don't even want to say 100%. Let's go like 85%.
I mean, I think they should peak at not even this major, but at the next one.
Okay.
I think there's a long time too, but I think Groove made a statement like 2 years ago, something like that a team needs like at least 8 to 10 months to know each other. And I know it sounds kind of crazy that you need this much time, but teams who doesn't have this much time together but still performs, it's often because they're like really individually on fire. Like, I think sometimes G2 could not even communicate and still win games, But a team like this doesn't have so many stars. Like, they have great players, but they don't have stars except ZywOo. So I think they just need a lot of time to work on the infrastructure and the way they communicate. And then I think we're going to see them at least being in the top 3-5 area consistently.
Yeah, I think it would be a shame. Like the thing is, like a part of me kind of sees like, oh, the woe is this team, and oh, Zywoo, some of his best years are gonna be wasted here. But I think like I would be pulling the trigger a little bit early, right? If I was gonna be saying, no, this isn't gonna work, because I don't think that. I think they're gonna have some hiccups, and they're definitely gonna have some moments where it's like, oh, that didn't look great. But I think that like Matt just had a pretty good.
This seems to
tournament,
me
right?
like very different language compared to what you were using just as they were eliminated.
Yeah, well, I think when I saw them get eliminated, I wasn't like I was watching the type of Counter-Strike they were playing, and I was very disappointed, right? They didn't look confident. It didn't look like a team that was like using the things that they have in their arsenal. And then when I watched them play against outsiders, wait till we get into outsiders. But I was like, okay, like these guys have some heart, right? Like, and I was like, there, like it's not just like a mess. It just didn't go well, right? And that one game for me kind of filled me with a gust of hope, if I'm going to be a boat in this analogy. So it's enough to keep me trending across the ocean here. Prof, what do you think about this whole Vitality situation?
I don't know. I think what Bubzkji said about like 8 to 10 months is something that people are going to take and be like, oh, what the fuck? I think it depends on, if you're doing like 1 or 2 changes and like gradually changing the roster, you have a roster that's been together for a year, you make 1 change, then you make another change 3 months after that. Then you probably don't need 8 to 10 months, right? Then you already have a core, then you're just like tweaking a couple of things, and you know what kind of system you want. You will know how you want to play some of these mid rounds, or do we push smokes in these situations, do go for crazy fights, or do we just like wait for the after plant and do it? And I feel like that is something that Vitality doesn't have nailed down right now, because they get lost in some of these mid rounds where someone is not watching something, then it gets a bit chaotic. Then someone wants to overcompensate where they shouldn't, or maybe the French guys would want to go for maybe a crazy play, and the Danes are like, no, this doesn't make sense. So things just fall apart in these rounds in ways that are very awkward and uncomfortable. That USP round that they lost, that wasn't even, I don't think there's yeah, I don't think that is even something that is about anything like tactically about the team. But in some of these situations, they look just like poor. They look like they don't have confidence, what Apex was talking about. And for me, that is, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, how do you not have? I know Katowice was bad, but these players are fucking sick. Like, everyone knows these players are sick. Like, how can you not be confident taking a fucking aim duel? Like, FaZe scrimmed the shit out of them. Literally disrespected one of the best players that touched CS ever. Like, multiple major winners across like Apex and the Danes and fucking Zonic as a coach. He literally just gave them no fucking respect and just beat them. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then it goes back to me, like, they probably have to have some issues already in the team. Like, I don't think they can be so like deflated if there isn't already maybe some, I don't know, maybe some clashes, maybe some doubts from specific people in the team about, how Apex is calling some of the situations, interpersonal situations, or something like that. Like, that is my kind of complete speculation right here. But I think there needs to be something like this in order to translate into the server what we saw in the last 2 tournaments.
Okay.
I mean, something that Apex said about that was kind of contradictory to what you're saying, at least. Obviously, people are
they
not
said like everything's perfect.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
exactly. Like, the atmosphere in the team is great. Obviously, they're not going to say that it's incredibly shit. If
It
that's
might
the case.
be, yeah.
So it could be fine, at least from what the team is saying. And to be honest, even from looking at like while they're playing, there doesn't seem to be a lot of frustration outside of Apex, which is kind of normal. It's just the Apex things, it's not nothing new, and Vitality obviously made it work even with that. And it doesn't seem to me like the rest is having that much of a problem. Even when I was looking at them in Katowice, it wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously, occasional frustrations are going to happen, but it wasn't nothing groundbreaking. I didn't think like this was a team that just doesn't function.
We have a bit of a mixed bag in our opinions here of the team overall, right? Like, I got a bit of hope. Prof thinks that there's something that needs to get sorted. Striker, where are you landing?
I just don't know what to think about where they're going at the moment, because it seems like they're it seems like their main issue it really is the map pool, because they can have really good maps, but it's just like if you
fucking
have
ban Mirage, play
Yeah.
Ancient.
and maybe that's the way for them to go. It's possible that they will go that way now that they've seen, but at the same time, do you want to just like delete all the progress that you've made potentially?
Fuck
You know,
Mirage.
if you see any of it, of course you do. But at the same time, like you have what, let's say 3 weeks to prepare for the RMR, and if you're going to bring in a map that's basically new that you haven't really played before a lot, and you want to play it, you know what, for a
But
spot
how
at the
many teams
major.
are picking it, right? Like this is the thing you
Yeah, I
got to
guess
keep in
that's fair
mind as
enough.
well, and it's going to be best of ones, right?
Yeah.
So like you can fucking
Oh,
blag
yeah,
your way
that's true,
through the
actually.
opening
Yeah, you're
stages
right,
and
you're
best
right,
of
you're
ones,
right.
and then you just have to hope when you get to the best of threes, you don't go up against, I don't know, fucking NIP, who are
NIP,
going to
yeah.
pick
Yeah.
it, right?
I mean, at the same time, but at that point, you might as well just keep Mirage in, and you don't, you can play by the same exact rules. You know, you're not.
People are
I
gonna pick
guess you're right.
Mirage.
People are gonna pick
I'll
Mirage. You're
pick
right.
Mirage and do them
Yeah,
every
yeah,
day of the
yeah,
week.
yeah. Fair enough,
Watching
fair
them
enough.
play Mirage, I would play them on Mirage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to play it in best of ones, and then there's just one best of three that they have to win. Essentially, well, not one if they go down 0-2, you know, but essentially it's just one best of three that they have to win. But yeah, I can see the point. Actually, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
and
the play.
you come into the RMR with something up your sleeve, right? Like
Yeah.
show something different. Like have something that you can actually pull out and be like, bam, Uno reverse card. What up? You know,
Yeah.
like not like the Astralis guys didn't play it, right? They played it, and they should have a good idea. I feel like that's the residue that's left over from Vitality when it was French, and not
Yeah,
Vitality now that
maybe.
it's mix. I think like it's
Yeah.
being a little bit stubborn with this.
Well, there had to be a compromise, right, in terms of like what they were going to play, because they like one side didn't play Mirage, one side didn't play a lot of Ancients, so
Yeah. Okay.
that makes sense.
And Bubzkji, you were saying you think they like just need time and they'll be like contenders?
I mean, I casted all the games, right? So I feel like those games where there were anything on stake, they played absolutely terrible. Like even against Brow, where they nailed the win, but against the outsiders, they actually looked really good.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a mental thing, since they can play that well against a team who had everything to win, and I feel like outsiders is a really good team currently. So for me, that is a positive sign, but they really need to figure out what's going on inside the team with the mental part of it, because they have the players to do much better than this.
Here's a question for you. How many times did you call outsiders VP?
200 times.
Yeah.
And my boss kept telling me, "Shh, we have to call them outsiders."
Dude, I did
because
like 15 times. I was
yeah,
like,
because
fuck.
it's yeah, I don't know, whatever. It's
It's
for me, they
hard.
will always be VP.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard, like especially when you're in like the flow of the conversation, and then you like reference it, and it's like, fuck, kind of, it's a bit jarring like that.
And
All
they
right.
didn't have a
I
logo
can't believe
either.
I haven't made that mistake in writing, to be honest. Like I've actually been really fucking strong with that as well. I don't know how, but
Okay,
it
well,
hasn't-
let's jump to outsiders, shall we? That's probably the
Sure.
next place to go with this.
You had strong opinions about them.
They upset me a lot because I got excited about him. I liked him in Kato. They're playing some Counter-Strike that I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is good. This team is good now. And then the Counter-Strike they played here, it bored the fuck out of me. When James dies like 4 times in an entire T half on Vertigo, I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, like their play style, I get it. I understand it. But they were moving away from that play style. They were being a bit more well-rounded. It wasn't just the James show. Like, why are they playing a setup where they have Flit? Maybe it was game plan, but why are they playing a setup where they have Flit and Yakinda working mid with rifles, Jame and Kicker just sitting at bottom of A waiting out so many fucking grenades, and then Buster work in B lobby? Why are you not letting your fucking Yakinda just scrim up A ramp, get a couple smokes and flashes, and get that absolute madman in the thick of things, getting you some entry kills? Like,
But
the
thing I think about VP is that they rely so much on these two players, Yekindar and James, and they're contradictory to each other. They are complete opposites. Yekindar just rush in your face and James camps. So if one of them is not playing their A game, it really feels like their game style becomes quite boring at some point, because Kiga, Flit, and who's even the last guy
Buster.
now? Buster, yeah, they're just waiting for them to do something, right? And if Yekindar dies, then James is not doing anything, but James is very, very valuable if Yekindar makes that space, because he's like holding angles for Yekindar and holding the back at good points. So I don't know. I feel like it relies so much on Yekindar currently.
The thing is, the issue I have, and like I said, maybe it was a game plan thing, but when they played Sprout on Vertigo, they lost Vertigo to Sprout, I'm pretty sure. And they weren't even letting Yakinda try and take A ramp space. Like they would just wait out the utility consistently, like and then they were doing everything in the last 30 seconds. And I was just like, Why? Like I
Feels
like
like you shouldn't be doing that against a team like Sprout.
No, disrespect them.
Yeah.
Get in their face. Like we'll talk about Sprout soon because I was impressed by Stare and Marix. I think that they're two like nice little pickups actually. But the thing with outsiders is like you can have so many more dimensions to your game. And I like what you just said there, Bubzkji. Like allow these players because in this team I can see Buster, Kick It, Flit, or Yakinda all taking space, like all going for entries, all trying to do. I think they could all do it. I don't see there's a reason that they can't. Like I remember talking to Kick It when Yakinda first joined, and he was like, or maybe it was Yakinda talking about the team, but he was like, yeah, we don't just have one entry fragger, like we have like 3 entry fraggers because they can all do it. Like I think Kick It takes space on Banana for the team, on Inferno, for example. So just to see them go back to that style and consistently, I feel like they came in just to play default Counter-Strike, and default Counter-Strike is just let James work with the AWP. And if James not working at a pace that is, is too conducive with getting things done in the first 1 minute and 20 seconds, you're gonna have these oddball rounds, and it's just like I want to like the team so much because I think that they can be really, really good. I just think this event they reverted back to the old style, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if anybody has a prognosis here or a diagnosis or some form of gnosis. That's
No.
Not really.
No.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
there is kind of like the threat hanging overhead for them, which is kind of like Yakindar's potential departure, because that's been something that's come up ever since the whole situation came about, right? So he's even said it himself that he just doesn't know if his future is with that team because of the situation. And
Yeah, but they
obviously,
were able
this
to
is
get out now, right? So I think
Yeah.
that maybe changes
Yeah.
that perspective. Like
Could
when
be.
when that stuff came out, we weren't even sure if they were going to be able to travel, and they were clearly able to travel. They got
Yeah.
here, right? Whether or not it may have taken them 24 hours, I don't know, but they were still able to travel, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, at this spot, you have to think about in what direction that team is going, right? Because obviously, Virtus.pro took a pretty strong stance against the decision to ban them, while Gambit kind of like took it on the chin essentially. Like they weren't necessarily happy about it, but now
well, they
they're
didn't compare it to
making
cancel
moves.
culture. So
Yeah, of
that's
course. I mean, now they're making moves to just sell the team off so that they can salvage whatever they can. So there's just that's pretty clear language to me, But while from Virtus.pro, it's not really clear to me that that's what they want to do. They seem to me more like they want to fight this, and they want to make sure they keep that team. But at the same time, if you're a Kindar, maybe you don't want to stay in that position. So, like that's something that could be hanging overhead, and that's obviously going to cause issues, in terms of motivation and all these things, in terms of atmosphere for sure. So some of these things you can't tell from the outside, and that could be a part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Like
There is also just to kind of maybe look into the future. The next tournament that is coming is the RMR, and then the major. Those are the things that all teams are going to be playing. And from what we have so far, there is no indication that like Virtus.pro isn't going to be able to compete as Virtus.pro at the major.
Valve hasn't said anything.
Valve hasn't said anything. I don't know if we expect Valve to say anything. I certainly don't, personally. So I think at least for now, that is kind of the situation for. I don't think Yakindar before the major is going to be changing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, before the major, that wouldn't make any sense because obviously, that there's nowhere he can go at the moment.
And then also you have visas, probably all of these players that have been traveling around all the time to travel through Europe, unless someone is like some countries actively canceling something. I feel like that should be fine for at least the next couple of months. But after that, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen?
Oof. But there's two things that just pop up when you're saying that. I think Duncan was doing something where he was talking about the fact that the visas might not get renewed for some of these Russian players. That's like, I guess that's a bridge that we're going to have to cross when we get to it. And that's something that, I don't know when their visas are valid. So I'm sure that's personal for every single player.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, I know one thing that I do know is that they're trying to get multi-entry for a lot of these players, for both, for the entire major cycle, obviously. But that's kind of like obvious, it's not like it's not groundbreaking information. That's just what you have to do if you want to play in that tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other side of this is like, if they do go and they represent VP at the major, then what's the chance that they, are branded as the bad guys because of that?
Right.
Pretty high, I would imagine.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't think fans would like that.
No, I don't think so either. But what do you do? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never been in this position before. I don't really know
Yeah.
what the thought process.
Hard
or-
to sympathize for sure.
Yeah, it'd be a thing where then if they like did get booed, then I can see why. Like, and it's probably not booing the players, it's probably booing the org. And then how is that going to affect them as the players who are competing for the org?
Going far in this hypothetical situation.
Yeah, it is. Okay, maybe too far. Okay. Who else we got in this? I guess we can
FaZe.
talk. Yeah, the FaZe wobbles.
Striker wins our little game that we had last time, picking who's going to top the
Oh,
group.
yeah,
No
yeah,
one
yeah.
topped the group, but at least
He's made it.
between the three teams that were tied with 2 wins, and his team went through on the 3-way tie. Congratulations.
Actually, it didn't. They
Oh, no,
went-
they had.
there was no tie.
It was clear.
They had a third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All I want to say to this is that just ENCE has a huge problem against playing worse teams. Like, it's unreal. I think it's weird the way they structure their anti-strat and the way they prepare for Pro League. I think they put a lot of work into Pro League because it's like their main way of getting points, you know.
Hmm.
But it's really concerning that they can play that well in Pro League, but they just play so terrible against anyone outside top 15. They just lost to Apex and almost lost to Mad Lions, right? So it just shows that they're really inconsistent. And until they fix this, I don't think they're gonna go to top 10 consistently for.
Just to play
Right.
devil's advocate for a second on that, do we put any stock in the fact that they traveled yesterday? Do we put like, or
I mean, it's just a general
they
thing.
should
I feel
still be
like
winning.
it's a general thing with ENCE. Like when they play lesser good teams, they just lose often. Like they also lost in the Pinnacle series. They also lost to like Heat 2-0, lost to Forced 2-1. So yeah, they just lose to some weird teams sometimes, and I don't know.
yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Right.
I can see what you're saying there. I think that's the hardest thing though, that a lot of these teams talk about, is competing in that realm of Counter-Strike can be some of the most difficult. And like, I think we've had this discussion quite a lot, but that's the thing, right? Like, you have to have a floor where you can just beat these teams just by defaulting, or just by playing like a more conducive type of Counter-Strike to beat that level of team. But just to circle us back to the FaZe conversation for a second here, they did get through by the skin of their teeth, though, right, Striker? Like, it didn't start very well for them whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be the reverse sweep. Essentially, they started 0-2, right?
Yeah, but
And,
Twist wasn't feeling well, I heard, right? Wasn't there like
Okay.
some comments he made in an interview with Hecko at some point where he wasn't feeling
I actually
great?
missed this. I haven't seen this.
Maybe she just told me that he said that. I don't know. It blurs between
Fair enough.
what is on their broadcast and what isn't. But they definitely got their act together towards the end. And there's also the thing. This is the thing, like with the round robin. And I know you're not a fan. And I know that not everybody loves it. We can get into that conversation later if we have time. But the thing is as well with the round robin group, if you don't go into the first game treating it like it is the most important match, because literally every match is equally as important, right?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot risk to lose the game or this bullshit will happen. Complacency will bite you in the ass. And I'm not saying that they were complacent, but maybe like coming off the high of winning Katowice and coming into this, they thought it would have been a little bit easier than it was for them.
Right.
So I don't know, like the fact they qualified, it's like, all right, it's all good. Like, that's kind of how I feel. It's like, yeah, they maybe had their foot off the gas a little bit, but they still made it, so it's all fine. Like, I don't have any qualms or any issues. Does anybody have anything that they'd want to poke holes in with FaZe, like other than the slow start?
Not really. I think they did fine.
I mean, once they picked up, like that's the phase that we saw in Katowice. Essentially, like if you think about it, like the way that they destroyed Vitality, you mentioned this earlier, they didn't give a shit, man. They were just running around killing people. Robs was the primary opera essentially on Dust 2. It was just like destroying Vitality himself. Like that series was just that was the phase that we saw in Katowice, even though they played with a different roster. That was the confidence that I saw from them. So like once they got going, they were looking like a really strong team. So I guess that's slow start for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, also Rain was also kind of bad in the first 2 games, so that was maybe a thing. Just him coming back into the roster, things being kind of weird. Overall, they won like a shit. I'm just going through their stats a bit. Like their opening kills were really good, and he was their best person in that regard. So overall, that really helps. And Bubzkji is fucking the best player in the world, so easy times essentially. I mean, he's still playing this like completely don't give a fuck way of playing CS, which is I feel like for like old school fans of CS might even be disgusting some of the things that he does, just like repeaking, pushing shit all the time, but it just works for him right now. I don't know if people maybe start punishing him more, but he's definitely finding his like kind of niche way of playing, kind of slightly off meta in some of these situations, which works.
I think he took the comments that people were making about him, and I can say the people because I don't think I was making the comments about him being a passive AWPer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I think he took them personally because you look at the way Brokey plays now. Sometimes I'm like, Brokey, this is so stupid, and then he gets 3 kills, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I guess
it wasn't so
fuck
stupid
myself
then.
right? Yeah, but that's the thing. Like some of the plays that he's making, like he's running through Molotovs to chase people down with an AWP and look for a pick. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like the people who said you're passive, I guess they can go and get fucked now, right? Like because he's playing like really hyper aggressive Counter-Strike
And the
inserts.
thing is, like, he's somehow making it consistent. That's the weirdest part for me, actually, because it's not like he does this all the time. Like, I know what you're saying, but he definitely has moments where he does
he
it.
knows, yeah.
But
Yeah,
like, in general, he's still a passive operator. It's not like he's just running around killing people all the time and just like
Jesus, don't
looking
say
for entry
that.
doors.
I mean, in terms of opening
What's-
duels, in
Don't
terms
say
of
he's a
opening,
passive AWPer.
in
Imagine
terms
now.
of opening duels,
Yeah.
he's still super low though.
Yeah, he's still passive in general, but he's still obviously he has moments where he just gains confidence and he just like goes for peaks. You know that he will have those moments every now and again. But overall, I don't think his playstyle changed that much. It's just some of these like when he gets rolling, essentially just all based off feeling. You know, he gets a couple of kills and then he repeaks for the third one. Where a lot of the uppers like a Shiro, wouldn't do that because he knows, okay, if I die there, that's going to be a problem. Brokey doesn't give a shit about those situations, but in general, his playstyle hasn't really necessarily changed.
I
But
just
like
think-
he's making it consistent as fuck.
I just think he's been more explosive. Like he can really change rounds now.
Right.
Now, like he really feels like kind of simple vibes sometimes when he gets into these close situations where he has to react fast. So like big credit to him because he's like really developed from not a bad AWPer or anything, but he was just like in the middle of everything in terms of this landscape of OP AWP players, and then he's now like one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, he was missing some balance for sure, and before in terms of it, like you were saying, the explosiveness.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we want to jump into? I guess we can start talking about ENCE and FURIA now.
Yeah.
Everyone cool with that?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. ENCE and FURIA. Okay. So I guess Bubzkji, you were just talking a little bit about ENCE, right? So, Prof, did you want to jump off that point that he was making about them, being really good in Pro League and maybe struggling against teams outside the top 15, or do you have anything general?
They've actually consistently been really good in Pro League. that is it. They made playoffs of like the last 4 seasons, which is just an interesting kind of coincidence, or is it not a coincidence? I'd probably say it's not a coincidence if it's happening so much, right? And you see after that, is it like playing against lower teams? Is it about just like maybe the schedule, or people catch on to some of the things that they're doing? After these successes, they always have a dip, but then they come back. I think it's kind of connected to like Snappy's way of playing. Like he had like some amazing T sides here, but these are like don't want to say in a bad way, but the classic Snappy T sides where he finds momentum, he like destroys people with some like fast paced stuff, and then on top of that, this ENCE team doesn't even have to. It doesn't seem like he has to call anything. They do some like completely random shit, like 2 guys going out long on Dust 2 and 2 guys going B at the same time. And the 2 guys go B, they kill the guy, and that's a round. Easy. So that's the depth that they now have with so much firepower on the lineup.
I think they just really. I don't think he's calling bad. I think he's calling pretty fine. But I think the main draw of this team is definitely the individual skill that they now have. They can play. You can make a lot more mistakes and lesser good calls if you have a great team, because they will just like kill their way out of situations, like get entries that you shouldn't get. But I think also Snappy has learned a lot in his ENCE period. I think he had like a little bit of a rumor in Denmark for being this very strict IGL with only doing spawn calling, which is kind of what you don't want nowadays. But I think he's developed a lot in that regard, because right now I don't see it the same way. I could be wrong. It could be spawn calling, but I highly doubt it. And so, yeah, I also think Spinks is incredibly underrated. Like, he's very, very good. He plays like hard roles and is just very, very good individually, and seems like an awesome teammate as well.
I want to ask Bubzkji something.
Yeah.
Who is the star and who is the bitch on this lineup? Like, how are the roles kind of distributed on ENCE.
I'm pretty sure that it's Binks who's like the bitch, right? And then Snappy also takes some bitch roles and then he shares them with either Dusha.
Dika?
Yeah, Dusha. We don't know how to say it. In Denmark, we couldn't find out if it's Dusha or Duha. So we just say whatever. But yeah, I think they just have a good balance now. I think what they need Hades to be more consistently for them to be into the top 10 consistently. I don't think he's shown glimpse of greatness, but it's just been very rare. And until now, he had kind of a down period, but he played pretty good at Pro League. So for hopefully it's the start of something great for him.
I actually want to pick up on that Hades point. I think that Hades was the reason that they were able to beat these bigger names. Like, I think Spinks is good. I think Madden's good. Like, I think that the players on the team are good. I think Snappy, but I think Hades, his performance at this event was consistent in the clutch or on the AWP, right? Like, he had some games towards the tail end. I think the last maybe 2 games that he had where it was a bit more hit and miss. I know against Furia, like, Safe would have one half that was bad, and then Hades would have one half that was bad, right? The AWPers took turns at not finding impact in that series. But I think like in the games that they were winning against the favorites, the outsiders, Vitality, obviously FaZe, I think Hades was a key component in that, right? I think that he was contributing a lot, and that right there, because I feel like I know what I'm gonna get out of Diha. I feel like I know what I didn't know what I was gonna get out of Madden because I wasn't overly impressed with Madden's debut within the team. It didn't settle, but this was much better. He was finding a lot more impact. It is.
He
so
feels
much
like the X Factor a little bit on occasion, Sometimes he just finds these rounds where he just, finds that one entry and he just runs with it, and he gives them like one of these rounds in like 6 rounds or whatever. He just finds one, and that's kind of like what gives them like stupid rounds sometimes that they probably shouldn't be getting. So that's how I view Modern in general, because he's super aggressive. He looks for openings all the time, and obviously that player is going to be kind of inconsistent, but they've actually made it work.
Yeah, it's impressive to see. And that Spinks had like some crazy game against Sprout on Vertigo where he was just fucking destroying. That was when all 3 matches were on at the same time. And someone had to like, I tweeted like the Zyra was having a good dust too. And someone was like, check Spinks. And I went and I looked, and I was like, well, obviously different an opponent here, right? But it's good to see that like they have so many individuals that can produce at a level. And this sound like a little, I guess clutches was another big thing that they had, right? I think like Spinks and Hades both had a lot of clutches in the event, but then like these names are like sleeper picks. I don't mean like resident sleeper picks, but I mean like they weren't getting the massive. They didn't have the intention of the massive names, right? Like they're all really solid, quite well-rounded players.
Yeah.
It's like they've done a great job at curating this roster. It's like Snappy's has a lot of racehorses in his fucking stable, right? That he can let loose. It's actually really cool to see.
Yeah, they've done a good job just like picking up the pieces that were the best, out of everybody all available. If you think about Modern, that's one of those for sure. Maybe he's not like the most important guy in the roster at the moment, but it was still an upgrade over Dodo if you think about it, and especially like the way that they've kind of slotted him in. Maybe it's taken away from Dihal a little bit because he was doing a lot of the same things that we see Modern do now. And I think we see that in Diha's performances a little bit because he used to be a big star for the team. Now he's kind of up and down, but it feels like the balance is still pretty okay between those two now. So I feel like they've just done a really good job of scouting like the right additions to this team. Spinks, Modern, like being key. Obviously Hades. Like the entire team is just pretty well put together.
Okay, let's talk about Furia because I think they're starting to look more and more well-rounded. Yuri and Quesarado are absolute fucking monsters.
Yeah,
those 2 guys. I don't know what you think of that duo right there, Bubzkji, but I watched those 2 and it's like they're like safe pair of hands every time. Like they're gonna get 2 kills. They look so fucking good, like both of them.
Yeah, they're like very, very. FURIA should be very, very grateful that those guys didn't sign with MRPR back then, right? They should almost have splashed the cash back then for them. They seem so intact with each other. Like they just seem like they've played together for so long. You can really feel it inside the server, and their individual level just keeps rising. And then I also think Safe or Safe, however you say it, has done an incredible job of like delivering impact with the AWP.
It's taken a while for me to kind of come around to safe, like because I hadn't seen a lot before with Pain, and then you know it's hard. It's hard in that team when you have Art going so like mental and entry frags, right, with the rifle, or maybe he's even taking an AWP in certain situations. But to come into that AWP role and know that like your impact is needed like mid to late round, like safe feels like he's starting to come into that a little bit more. So that's good. The only one that I need to see more out of, I think, for this team to be like a consistent factor is Drop, right? And this is the thing. It's like sometimes he has good moments. Sometimes he has moments where he looks a little bit lost. And I know he came from the academy team, right? But I don't know. Like if someone, I saw there was like a thread on HLTV that he'd been there for a while. Like he's been there for 6 months, maybe more. Like, so I don't know. Like I guess maybe he brings something to the team that's we can't see in the server, right? But I don't know.
He does play some bad roles. Like we can go over that part where he is really the bitch of the team. But yeah, I think he also needs to add something. I think if Art sometimes would compromise on the way he's playing, I think it would be way better. Like I don't know if it's like emotionally driven the way he wants to play sometimes, but sometimes I feel like he could be so much better, or like the team could be so much better if they just could default more slowly, because sometimes their game can be a little bit one-dimensional with the fast-paced stuff. But yeah, they know what they're doing since they go 4-1 and I didn't. So, but yeah, I think if they added some more dynamic to their game, I think they would be like a top 5 team as well. I think they have really good individual skill.
It's going to be a question, right, Prof, if they can get away with this consistently, right? Because it's always been the question with the volatile nature that FURIA approached the game. But with the consistency that you can get out of KSGO and Yuri, they're not playing the volatile style, right? It's Art who plays the volatile style, and then they try and capitalize off the back of it, right? So do you think there's enough depth in this team if Art's having one of the games where he goes like 0-6 in opening duels as opposed to like 11-3?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's enough depth
to be what?
To be like, well, is there any question here, right, that they're the best team in the Americas?
Yeah, by far, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question.
I mean, you could talk about Liquid potentially challenging that.
We don't know yet.
At some point.
Okay. We can
I'm not putting that out of question, right? But they have to do like next week. They just have to come in and kind of maybe
destroy this group essentially.
Maybe lose the gambit, but beat everyone else and not look too hard about it. Like make it easy, and then we can talk about it, because I feel like that Liquid. It's not a great team right now and what they showed so far, but they have Elysia Naf and they have OC as one of the best up and coming NA talents. So I believe that there's potential there to be really good. Like Elysia Naf versus KSGO and Yuri, like that's amazing. Like
that's pretty sick.
You may say today like KSGO and Yuri are better, but like over the past 2-3 years, Naf and Elysia overall were better. So you can't really say that. I wouldn't bet on FURIA being long term the best team in NA. They might be, but I'm not completely sold yet.
Okay, all right. Strike, you got any thoughts about FURIA?
No, not necessarily. I think I agree with pretty much everything that's been said. I feel like just one person that we haven't really touched on is Safe. He's had some time with the team now, and he didn't start off super well. He had he had a really bad couple of tournaments when he started off. But since then, it's not like he's become the star of the team, but it seems pretty stable enough for them to have a good base, you know, around Yuri and KSGO and Safe being kind of like the third guy. And obviously Art is just like the massive X factor, you know, it's just like either he's going to be the guy who just creates all the opportunities or he's going to die first and the team's going to struggle like 4v5, you know. So I feel like that the base is just stronger now in FURIA, and that's why I feel like we're seeing this progress.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to put it. The base is strong. Yeah, I like that. I think it's good that Art can be freed up enough to be on the AWP all the time. I think that's a big positive right there. All right, let's jump into just the Group C preview. I didn't mention Sprout, but I do want to give an honorable mention to
Rouse
and Stare. Oh, Rouse with a couple of big clutches too.
Big clutches.
But this is the thing, right? In those clutches, Rouse shows his ability. I think right now he's so not focused, obviously, but I think like the in-game leading at the moment is still something that he's still getting to terms with, because I think individually he can be a very good player, but you don't see it all the time because he's so focused on all the other bullshit, right? But like in those clutches, he looks sick.
Yeah,
I just think like
he has a good game sense. He has for
sure.
He's
a geeky boy as well. Like that 1v4 that he won on Inferno A side, where he lined up a molly to like, it was like it was a pressure situation and just casually lined it up, threw it out, won him the round, and I don't know. It's just nice to see a combination of like smart moves, nice aim, and also
This
being a geeky nerd, sweating right there.
this guy also had an interesting story. He's been from way back.
Yeah.
I think he was always considered in Denmark as being one of the best aimers, like individually, but he was considered he wasn't very serious about his gaming. Then he actually got an offer from Dignitas back then. They later became TSM, like the
Yeah, yeah.
Device Dupree guys, but he declined because he was selling his PC.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I think he regrets that to that day, because I think Icy got the spot instead, if I remember correctly, and yeah, he failed. But and then Sipix got back or something. But yeah, I remember that he sold and he regretted so much. But yeah, I've played with him. He's a great guy. Very very social. Can really get a team together. I think it's nice that he took up the IGL role, because there's a lack of good IGLs, and if he could develop on top of his individual skill, he could be very valuable for a team in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's like with Barry there, right, to kind of help him along in that journey.
Yeah.
Like they put Spitty in the more lurky roles, right? And Spitty, was doing the job. He won a couple clutches. He had that nice Dust 2 clutch that he had. So yeah, I think Slacks had a couple good games on the AWP. I'm interested to see what Sprout becomes, because in my mind, they're no longer the big feeder team, right? They're probably still on like a similar level as like an endpoint in terms of their best pieces will get poached somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think now at least they can avoid being just pillaged by Big, right? Big have the academy team now. They also don't need that at the moment. Okay. Let's look at Group C. Lucas, do you want the link, or can you find it and
It's
bring it
already
up? Okay, nice. It is. Oh, okay, nice. Great job, Lucas. You're fucking killing it, mate. Okay, so Group C, just for those of you playing at home, players is Gambit. They'll be going under the name of players, as per, well, you guys know what's going on, the invasion of fucking Ukraine.
Nafani's anime team.
Yeah, we'll go with that. The anime fucking squad. Liquid.
Well, if you had struggles with outsiders, man, you're gonna struggle
No,
with
this will
that
be
one.
easy. This one will be easy. I
Really?
won't. Yeah, because half the thing was when like doing the VP game, like it was really quite hard. Like it was because of the way that they were playing, and right when you have to talk more when there's less action, you're doing more like narrative filling, right? And when you're doing more narrative filling, you're not just talking about what's on the screen in front of you. That's where your brain's like actually having to bring shit up, and that's when I would say VP as opposed to
Right.
saying outsiders. But when the action's just on the screen, I shouldn't have too many qualms doing that. Let's see.
enough.
We'll count. Someone do a count. Liquid, who just got in like yesterday, so they're going to be a little bit jet lagged, I believe, and they'll be playing. They don't have a European boot camp before this, so I'm interested to see how they do. Godsent with Henny coming in, Big with the addition of Crimbo, Movistar Riders, and Party Astronauts, who have Dirty Pete Peak standing in for him, right? Because was it Viz? I forget which one it was unable to get vaccinated or a passport or both.
No, I think that was Cynic.
Oh, okay.
I think that was Cynic, and then they replaced him for Viz, but then Viz couldn't get a passport in time because he wasn't planned to. He wasn't on the team. Something like that. Or maybe not. I don't know. I can't follow these names. The NA names are really escaping me a bit. I need to do more research on that. But I think I got this one right.
Okay. So looking at this group, the way that I would preface this is there's only one team that I have clear expectations on, and that would be players. The rest of them, I don't have any expectations whatsoever. Does anybody want to challenge that? And if you agree, then we need to find something to talk about. So someone fucking find something to talk about.
I mean, to talk about how important this is to everybody, I think Godsend is a big one, and Liquid is a big one.
Okay.
I mean, I guess Big as well, just because they kind of need to start showing some progress. But still, like, Godsend, I'm saying Godsend for one reason alone.
No major.
That they are not going to be playing at the major, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically going to be the last thing that they play, and they made it to the Showdown. We were just looking at it, right?
Godsend, yeah.
Crazy, yeah.
Yes.
So Showdown, obviously another one, but EPL is the biggest thing that they will play until the end of the season, essentially, unless they make it to the finals, which is also not going to be very. Yeah, there's not that big of a chance for them to make it from one slot in the Showdown or the qualifier for the Showdown. So Godsend, the big one in terms of how much this means to them. Liquid and Big, I feel like, are just the two teams that need to start showing progress with the new lineups. Big have not sold me so far with the team that they have at the moment, even though they've done reasonably well. But Liquid is the big one in terms of they just haven't had a result that is impressive so far. and this has to be the way where they start showing progress.
Bubzkji, what do you make of this group, other than it being probably the most boring group of the lot in terms of the names? I think a lot of people in chat have that same sentiment, but what do you think about this group overall?
I think that Liquid is such a big name that they can't really fail this one. If they fail this one, I would already call for a change.
Oh,
Or maybe it's a
okay.
little bit early for the major, but I would plan for a change because I feel like they need to show something as well now. But they've gone to NA, right, for like 3 weeks now. So the practice have been absolutely terrible. I remember being at Flashpoint for 2 months. We played FURIA 6 times a day, so there was nothing to do really. Yeah, I think they need to show something, and I also think I think it was okay that they made a change. Like, they've been stuck with the same core and players for a long, long time, and the results was always a very big roller coaster. Like, sometimes, okay, they looked good, and then we thought they could build upon that, and then they just completely failed next time. So now they get a young talent in with, instead of Keto, Crimbo. I don't know much about him, but he's from the Academy League, right? So I guess there's some talent.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Big, they always had like good strats and good anti-stratting and stuff. It was just like they never seemed to make their firepower the focus. So if this kid can come in and they can make their firepower a bit more of a focus, I'm excited to see what they could do. Like Godsent with Phelps and Henny, that excites me a lot. Like, but it's obviously just Godsent with Henny coming back in. I want to see what he can do on the AWP and this kind of system that they're forming. So there's a lot of fun little storylines here with the teams themselves, but overall for the group, like that's where it's kind of a little bit lacking. And we were talking about this before the show. I think something that people, maybe don't understand is some of these partner teams, if you notice, both Liquid and EG are in group C and D. And I don't know this like factually speaking, but I know that I've like heard things around. And maybe Bubzkji, you can help me along here. But I know that like partner teams can like kind of like put in requests, not to be like, hey, put me in an easy group, but like, hey, put me towards the tail end of the season, for example, because we're not going to fly to Europe twice, right? So like, for example, let's say that Liquid qualify, then they only have to stay for a week in between before the playoffs, and then they have the RMR, right? So some of these things kind of in the background get moved around, and that's why we end up with a group like this.
I don't think it's the main cause, but I think it has a say in it. I'm pretty sure that teams from like NA, since it's been so rough with COVID and so on, like completely destroyed their normal routines in NA. That that ESL knows that we need to look after NA, and the teams need to be happy. So maybe they help them in that regard in terms of scheduling. I don't think they help in terms of seeding. Like, they will get the same seed, but if they could put them in a place where they would have like an easier travel time, I think they would do it. Or you can at least put in a request.
Yeah, it seems like something like the thing is, I know that one of the big things with the North American guys is they don't want to be away from home for so long. And we've had this conversation a million times, and I understand that. And I think one of the arguments that they would make is, well, if we're never at home, then we can't help the next generation of teams because we're not playing against them and all this, that, and the other. I constantly just reside this to the fact, and people are going to think I'm like this fucking guy, he doesn't care about people's lives and shit. I just think that like, if you're doing this as a profession, this is your life. Like it's an elite level profession. It's elite level discipline, actually, is what I was trying to say. And if you want to do it to the highest form, you're in Europe. Like, I'll just use myself as an example for everybody. Would I rather be in Australia, in Perth, with fucking 25-degree average every single day with the beach 20 minutes away and doing that? Yeah. But do I love this more than that? Yeah. That's why I'm here. That's why I live in Europe, is because I love Counter-Strike more. That's the trade-off, right? And unfortunately, I think these North American guys, like, they just don't see it that way. They think, oh, we can have like a work-life balance. I completely disagree. Like, as much as like some people are gonna be like, oh, you fuck off. I just have a hard time like with that. Like, if you want to be the best at something, you're in Europe. That's it.
One thing to note in this conversation is that there's something in the Louvre agreement that where it says they have to be in NA for certain periods of time to support the region there, for there to be some practice. They just have it in the Louvre agreement that these organizations actually have to spend time in the region. So this is probably why they went there for a while,
But I feel like it's so comparable to real sports. Like, if you want to play football at the highest level, you need to go to Europe. If you want to play basketball, you need to go to America. Like, we just got the first day into the NBA. yeah, so and he doesn't say, I don't know if I want to do it. Like, obviously, it's a shitty compromise. I know how it is to travel and live abroad because I did it for free 2.5 months in Flashpoint, and it was absolutely fucking terrible because we couldn't even go outside, and our toilet flooded, and everything was.
Well, this was start of
Yeah.
COVID, so this was
Yeah.
like fucking
Even worse, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
NA on steroids, man. You could do
So
shit.
who clogged the toilet? Was it the city?
No, it was actually in Roy's room. We were practicing. Then we took a break. Then Roy just went into his room and laid in his bed, and there was literally water up to here. And we had to get towels. We had like a
Oh,
big
no.
mansion, so we had to get like 40, 50 towels to try to plug it. And yeah, Roy couldn't sleep in there anymore, so he had to move room. And then we got thrown out of the Airbnb, and it was the Flashpoint was an interesting event.
It's just PTSD, man.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh dear.
What do you think about Roy, by the way? I completely forgot you played with that guy.
Back then he was very one-dimensional, but he was very good against teams who didn't prepare that much because he could just do his moves. But now he seems to have added on top of his game. He's really dynamic now and is a very good in-game, not an in-game leader, in-game wise in terms of like firepower, and just a very vocal guy. Very, very good right now.
I just want to bring up a side note here. I know we're talking about Roy Jr. from Complexities in the chat, and he just said in the Louvre agreement we have to scrim a certain amount of lower tier NA teams to help them get better.
Yeah.
Why are
I
we
love how he
artificially?
uses like quotation marks a
but
couple
why are
of
we
times.
artificially trying to prop up a region?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's the plan.
But
that's
why
what
aren't
you're
we
doing
artificially trying to prop up Australia or Southeast Asia or
because
China?
America is too big to fail. If
Yeah.
America fails, this game is basically a
Just
niche.
European.
Yeah, it's just niche.
But I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't think that Valve agree with that sentiment.
Oh, I don't think they care at all. Like,
Well, I don't know.
I don't think they care about that part of, like, if NA dies, they don't care if NA is bigger than China or China is bigger than NA. They just need to see the player base grow, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. They don't.
Well, I
care,
mean,
like,
they definitely care about regions, though. Like, if you think
Yeah.
about how they're thinking about the majors and stuff like that, they obviously put thought into.
they still give them 5 spots. They get the
expand-
second most amount of spots.
Well, yeah, but that's not going to last unless the region stays this as strong as it is at the moment, as strong as it was, let's say, 2 years ago when these spots were, or whatever it is,
But
two
you
and a
have-
half years ago when these spots
you-
were decided.
You have to understand that growth in player base is not increase in viewership. Like, those metrics are like completely different. So Valve has a different incentive than ESL. And
Yeah,
FaZe.
of course, but it's not. I mean, from the point of view of ESL, it's not necessarily the same as well, right? Like, if I don't know how to solve this. This is a conversation that we've had numerous times, but like the lower tier NA teams have nothing to play. Like, if there's, especially if there's no teams to be there. So I at least understand the idea behind it. It sucks for the teams that have to go there because they're just not, they have nothing to do there.
I saw a stat that there's literally no games going on in NA almost. Like, it was like 30 FaZe games at peak hours in holidays. So how are you trying to get people into the scene or make tournaments, because nobody's going to sign up? So I feel like the only way the game survives over there is if people generally want to play it. Like, they can't be forced.
Yeah, I mean, there's also somebody, I think M&M's was it. There was like a qualifier for something that I fucking forgot.
Also, the
for
major
what.
was only like 40 teams, right, or something?
Yeah, not too much for sure. There's the scene is definitely in a rough spot there, but they just they had a qualifier that was kind of a bit long. There was like one team that was signed up for it, and so like that's just generally rough. Like, if there's not even like some, just like a lower team, whatever, face it level 6 type of people that are just going to sign up because, okay, there's something to play, something we can get somewhere, then obviously like the region's a bit fucked.
But isn't that the point, though? This is like the whole point I'm trying to make is like artificially pumping so many resources into a place that isn't
Doesn't
doing
have
anything with
players,
the
yeah.
resources anyway.
Right.
Is a waste of resources.
I can
Yeah,
agree with that.
of
It's
course.
definitely,
Like, what are we meant to do? What we make a couple of orgs to pay some players? Like, what are we doing? Like, this, it's a competitive pursuit, right? It shouldn't be like it was when we had COG and TSM and all these different orgs who were just paying these players, and that's why we get inflated salaries, right? We got inflated salaries because of that once upon a time. Like, I'm glad that we're past that now, right? The goal should be, if you're a North American player, you want to get good enough to join a Liquid, join an EG, join a Complexity. That should be the goal. The goal shouldn't be to just have 5 guys and get into, like, I'm not saying play individual Counter-Strike, but there's also another mechanism where you can make a shitload of money. It's called qualifying for the major and getting stickers if they give stickers back to everybody. I have to make sure I have that little caveat. But there's that mechanism, right? Like that's how Valve like give money to the players.
I mean, I would love ESL to try to just say, okay, we're gonna do it like football. We're just gonna put it in Europe and make it big here, and then sell the TV rights to make it like you can promote it in NA. It doesn't have to be big, but you just have to know that if you want to make a living out of it, you have to go to Europe, right? So I think that could be like a thing, but I don't know. There's probably some smart people in ESL who's thinking about this and budgeting for the right calls.
Yep.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, this is Louvre, so this is somewhat separate from like the entire ESL thing, but yes.
I think the way that ESL are going about it by pumping so many resources in to try and revive it is like not the right method. Like what they should do is advertise the best teams that they have to North America, right? And get the best liquid and the best EG and the best complexity that possible to be as competitive as possible on the global scale. And then say, these are our North American teams. And then when we come over and we have events in North America, you get to see our best North American teams going up against the best the rest of the world has to offer.
Or the kind of above average from the best in the world, which is probably going to be the situation most of the time. I am Dallas coming up. No CS teams are going to be there. That's the expectation, realistically.
True.
So, but it might be still a decent tournament.
Could still get Heroic, FaZe, G2.
Yeah, and not G2.
That can be there.
You don't think they can get MOUZ there?
Not full G2.
I thought he's becoming Serbian.
Armanek probably coming in.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to be interesting. Like, how do you get like a 16-year-old to change his nationality overnight? I don't know.
That's fake, by the way. That was fake, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The Serbian thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. Like, that's
no, I didn't even give it any thought, but I just checked. Like a week later, I just checked. It's fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't actually check with the team. I was just like last round, and it doesn't look like there's any. Doesn't hold any water.
We should probably do this, boys. Let's come up with a little bit of a collective decision here, right? Based off of what we know, which is very little. Who do we think the top 3 teams are going to be? Like, we can slot players in as one.
Wait, sorry. Group
we went so far.
We went on the North American test.
So like, what the fuck are we talking about again?
Okay.
We all agree on number 1 players, right?
Yes. Well, not even number 1, but I just think they'll get through. Like, don't worry about 1, 2, 3.
Right.
We just have to worry about,
liquid.
Just quickly, I just want to reply to someone in the chat about our North American chat. I feel like this is an incredibly Euroview set of takes. I'm from Australia.
But
I have a Canadian passport, so
there we go. We've made it all work. We've come full circle.
And Bubzkji is actually from Antarctica.
I migrated from China.
So there you go. He's made it. We're all here. Okay, so we got players locked in. Let's pick 2 more teams here, and I want people to make a good argument for why.
Aren't we picking teams and not players?
Teams, as they play it? Fuck's sake. Okay, let's because I don't have anybody that I would put in a lock in 2 or 3, right? Does anybody have a good argument for any of these teams? I can listen. There's 3 of you. I want to hear. I'll make the decision. Bubzkji, you want to go first?
I mean, I think Big is gonna finish second because I think they have the deepest strat book. I think they have the deepest tactical knowledge of these teams, solely due to the time they've been together. And I think Tabson is an absolutely fantastic IGL. If Crimbo just does what Tito did, I think they should also go out of this group. Like, that's my argument, really. Unless Crimbo completely bottles it, then maybe it gets rough.
All right. Complete the set for me. Who would be number 3 then?
Me?
Yeah.
That would have to be Liquid because, as I said, I think they've had enough time now that you can judge a little bit. Kind of same situation with Vitality, that we can put some into these results. If they're not good, then I expected them to go through. So I hope to see Shocks play a little bit better. I think he looked a little mismatched in the first couple of games. And hopefully they've worked on OC also becoming like a tier 1 AWPer, because I think he can really be that. I think he's one of the like few light spots from NA still.
Okay.
I think Godson could actually play. I'm not going to say that they're going to go through, but I feel like they could, take potential series out of Big or out of Liquid if they're on. Because, I mean, it's kind of like an X Factor team in this group, 100%, just because of Henny coming in, lack of information about how they're going to play. Obviously, a strong player. You're also replacing Phelps, who was the biggest player, so it's hard to say how much is going to affect them. But it's just like their dynamic is going to be entirely different, so it's really difficult for teams to prepare against them, and like in the information battle, like it's obviously going to be in Godson's favor. So at least that's an argument, but it's obviously going to still cause problems for them to just change up roles all of a sudden, having a primary opera that they'd
Especially
never
an
had before.
impactful one.
Yeah, and then losing Phelps is a big deal. So it's difficult to tell how much all of this is going to impact them.
Well,
But I definitely have more faith in them than Party Astronauts or even Movistar at the moment.
do you agree with Bubzkji, Striker, or do you have anything outside the box for your 2 and 3?
No. I think he's right. I was nodding along. I think big number 2 even. I agree with that.
Okay. And Prof, I don't know. You're going to throw something outside the box at me here. What do you got?
No, I think Liquid is gonna make it through definitely, and I think Big should make it through. But I don't see Movistar or Party Astronauts for sure being in contention for a playoff spot. And Movistar have been a team that consistently has not been able to make the next step. So I don't see why they'd make it here, even though this is probably like the lowest set bar they've had in a long time in terms of like what they need to do to actually get through. But I still don't see it happening. So it's like Godsend potentially. We don't really know where they are. They didn't make the RMR, but I think that's also maybe that could be deceiving about how bad they were. You would expect, the open qualifiers can be tricky, essentially. I still think they're a pretty decent team. But the Kenny thing kind of puts everything in disarray, and it's just like impossible to predict what they're going to be like.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I like it.
We're going to go do some questions.
Do we have any?
We have a couple.
All right, fuck it. Lucas, play the bumper. Let's go into playtime. We'll do a quick couple of questions, and then we'll shut her down. All right, guys, welcome to Playtime. It's where we play around with some time. If you guys have any questions that you want to throw Bubzkji's way in the chat right now, or a question to myself or Striker or Prof, you can put it in chat right now. We're just quickly going through the Twitter sphere to see what questions were being asked for Bubzkji here today.
The one question that we had was, how did you become such a Twitter god? And is it possible to learn this skill?
Oh.
I mean, a lot of it is just inspiration, right? From either what you see other people write, and then just what is relevant of what is happening now. The only thing that there's a lot of tweets that I have to not send out because I'm still somewhat of a symbol of a company, so I can't just be like full shit poster. Because I would love to be that, but maybe I'm gonna make some secret account someday and see if I can actually make it better than my current.
I thought you were Danish Leaks.
Me? Yikes! No, I think I know who it is, but no names out here.
Oh shit!
Look, you can always make an account called _Bubzkji.
Didn't Danish Leaks get lucky wrong at the time of the league?
Yeah, that was something.
And I was inside the team that would be a terrible league if I did that.
That's true, actually. I mean, but that could be the fake.
That's the cover.
Throwing out the cover. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Junior says he took notes from Floppy.
There was there was a question in chat regarding what your opinion on the current Astralis team is.
Yeah, we also talked about this before, actually. I think the main mistake that they made was that I think when they signed Zipex, they was because they understood that they needed like these roles to fit, but then they got Blame F. And then they kind of situation now they have 3 rotation players again. They have Config, Glaive, and Blame F. And it's just deja vu of what happened before Matches joined Astralis, where Xtrfy was inside the team, and it was just very inconsistent because Glaive was playing these anchor roles, but now he's again playing anchor roles, and it's not where he's best. Maybe they changed it up and maybe either Blame or Config took him, but they really need to figure this out because this was what made them so great before, that they had an anchor role. Like, if they can't make this work, they need to specify that they need an anchor next time they sign a player, because I feel like there's been such a missing puzzle to the current game.
Okay, nice.
What do you think about the coaching situation in the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was expected to happen that Ave wasn't going to be at the major, right? Because he made the coach bug thing. Yeah, I don't know if Trace is is a tier 1 coach yet, but Sonic wasn't a tier 1 coach either when he started in Astralis. He learned a lot from the bottom. Maybe they can do the same with Trace and make him like this front face of Astralis of the new era and so on. I think that could work. He's a very nice guy at least.
Okay. All right. Cut from the same cloth. They're all from the same team once upon a time. aren't they?
Essentially, yeah.
All right. Who else we got going on here?
We have Henry asks favorite teammate. This is a classic question. Can't go wrong with this one.
Oh, who did I play with? I played with so many. I think
Baxter, Strix, Mad Lions, Astralis.
I think I think Dupree was my favorite teammate in terms of like humor because I would irritate him because I would talk so much bullshit and he would like find it funny at some time, and we just had a like funny way of doing things together. But the best teammate like inside the show I think was Shoes. Like you could tell him, please drop me 10 orbs, and he was, yeah, I would say for you. It's fine.
You'd get a mortgage. And
Yeah, like he was
fund
just
you.
always never complain, never anything, and he was just always good. Like he was very underrated in that Mad Lions team. He was such a big role of why it becomes successful. We also talked about the roles. He's an anchor player, absolutely valuable.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. How we looking, Prof?
I think that's kind of it on Bubzkji questions. I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, I guess at this point in the show, Bubzkji, what we do is for the guest, anything you want to say to the viewers at home, anything you want to get off your chest, or maybe you just want to say hello. This is your time.
Hey mom. I don't know if she's watching, but maybe she.
That's sweet.
Does she watch you on Danish TV?
Yeah, my dad, like my dad and mom is the biggest haters of Astralis now because they were like, oh, we love Astralis when I was there, and then I didn't play anymore. Oh, we don't watch Counter-Strike anymore. That's a dead thing. And then I went on TV. Oh my god, we watch it again, but we don't like when you see Astralis.
Well, it sounds like they're very supportive. One way or another. That's great.
They always take my side. That's only normal what parents would do, right? Like in terms of.
Well, that you'd hope, right? That's how you know you got good parents. All right. Well, guys, Prof, Striker, yeah?
I have one thing. I was contractually obliged by Dimitri, our social media guy for the show, and also does other things for the show, who now is running our TikTok channel. He said I had to shout out our TikTok, HLTV official. Check it out. Not a lot. There's just a couple of clips from Confirmed so far, but there's going to be some stuff. No dancing, I think.
Okay.
We should no dancing.
Not yet.
Everyone.
I think so. I think no dancing until like 1 million followers at least.
Only 1 million followers.
Yeah.
1 million and we will dance.
I did not say that. I said no dancing until that point, potentially after that point as well.
I don't get paid enough to dance. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Striker, you good? You got anything? You got any sleeper little comments that you need to make for?
No.
I
was gonna say something about that IP, but then I changed my mind.
Something about banks, mortgages, inflation, global situation.
Fuck the economy at the moment.
All right, guys. This has been episode 10 of season 6 of HLTV Confirmed on Tuesday, the 22nd of March. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our sponsors, Bitskins and Xtrfy. And make sure you guys get out there on the skateboards and grind some gnarly rails, man. Do some kick flips and an ollie and all that shit, man. Good night.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.